Ladies and gentlemen, the wait is over. 2021 is alive and kicking for the Grand Prix Virtual World Championships premier category, the Super League. And where else to start the season than the great place to race itself? Melbourne for the Albert Park circuit in Australia. Our broadcast director is Argo Teder. I'm Jake Sanson. Beside me is Tom Parker. Living the Vida Loca here in the commentary box. It is time to rock and roll for the Australian Grand Prix. Tom, I have been looking forward to this one for weeks.
Weeks, months. I think we finished the season in October. And I've been waiting 6 months for this bad boy. I can't wait. We've got one of the most competitive grids ever seen in Super League. We've got some new teams. We've got some new drivers. We've got an exciting qualifying session ahead of us. Let's go. Let's do it.
Absolutely. And of course, as we saw from the testing program a couple of weeks ago, it is going to be a thrilling season in prospect. We have many drivers who are going to be pushing their weight around at the front of the grid. Although for the first round of the championship, notable by his absence, Tom Parker, there are a couple of subtle changes going into this first round of the Super League 2021 season. Adam Maguire, reigning champion, will not be racing in Albert Park. What's the story there, Tom?
I think you know as much as I do about why he's there and why he's not there, sorry. But yeah, Adam Maguire missing from this first round, obviously reigning champion for the Super League Drivers' Champions. So it's very, very big news that he's not here. He's being replaced by Alessandro Quintai, who himself won a championship last year in Super Cup. So they've gone for quality as his replacement. But we'll have to hope that Adam is back next time round and see how Alessandro can do for the reigning champions themselves in Adonis.
So indeed, we will have Liam DeWaal and Alessandro Quintai, who will be in that car as the reigning champion. Irishman Adam Maguire will sit out the first round of the championship. Then, of course, we've got Colin Spork and Maciej Mlinek at Edge Esports with the Quasar engine, as we know. Giuseppe Ragusa and Fabrizio Gobbi, an all-Italian combination at the GSR Sim Racing Centre by VBM. Mirko Lucchini and Federico Russo, another all-Italian lineup at Green Stripes. Then there is the Mayer Downward Racing team, where we will have an interesting lineup because we're going to have Christian Pascal and George Whitehouse will be in the car this time, Tom.
Yeah, so Marco Francesconi is serving a one-race expulsion from a transgression from last year. So Francesconi will be back from race 2, but George Whitehouse, a driver, very capable of choosing a result when he wants to. So you can see George in the car for this first round.
And then, of course, we'll have the Bott brothers at Evolution Motorsport, Yannick and Leon. Definitely going to be exciting to watch how they get on. Right Kilk for the Red Archer Virtual Racing team and his teammate Matthias Mus. And then we have Eros Mashuli and Giuseppe Leno for the Ghost Speed race team. David Fidek and Florian Gaia. Could be interesting to see what the Epic Racing team produce in 2021. Dan Stokowski and Thomas Bach for Powered by RSR. And we have Gemino Zapala and Alari Alpius of the Scuderia Basilia team, Laurent Kiersmakers and Stefan Rualt, of course, at the Holland Racing team, Janic Simicic and Robin Pansar at Burst Esport. And in place of Fabio Sixter, another big name missing for this opening round of the championship, Tom, Amari Wilson will partner Pedro Gomez at Centrebike Motorsports.
Amari Watson, yeah, sorry, but yeah.
Yes,
Amari,
absolutely right, sorry.
That's fine, I'm sure Amari will.
That's my first claim of the season. There we go, my first
There
claim.
we go. That's fine, but yeah, Amari. Amari will be replacing Sixers. Sixers PC blew up, as our broadcast director Argo Teder told us before we went live. So Fabio waiting to get a GPU, I believe, before he can start racing. But yeah, a good replacement Amari as well. Hopefully Amari can go well, as we have now started our first qualifying session of the year.
So indeed, 15 minutes on the clock, and you're watching Colin Spork as he gets underway and down to business on this fabulous Albert Park circuit. It has, of course, been a staple of the start of any single-seater season, real or virtual, since 1996 when it was first used in Grand Prix racing. And Colin Spork is already starting to get the tyres and brakes onto the optimal temperature. That initial outlap, very crucial to get right, because it really can set the tone, not just for the race, but also for the initial start of the opening lap.
Yep, absolutely. So obviously we're going to be using the soft tyres pretty much exclusively throughout this session. So soft tyres, red wall, as you can see there on your screen. Colin going to be trying to get brakes and temperatures obviously nice and ready for the start of this lap. Obviously Colin finished second in the practice session before we went into this qualifying sessions behind Mr. Liam Duval himself. So as Colin goes into the second to final corner, make sure you get a good run out of this final corner to start your lap.
Now, the funny thing about GPVWC Super League is that the winner of the first race doesn't always set the tone for the season, especially in recent times. We've had some thrilling championship campaigns that have got going mid-season, but what this does demonstrate, if you get it right in this opening race, is that your headspace is obviously nailed on straight, you've got your mindset in the game, and you can really push for a little bit more as the season progresses. How important is it psychologically, Tom, to open the campaign with one win in the bag?
Oh, it sets you up for the season, doesn't it? I mean, you can't start the season anyway better. You just want to try and get out the best result you can as early on. Prove your marker, show to everyone, look, I'm boss. You got to try and catch me. And I believe Maguire did that last season. Like, Adam made it, everyone know that he was in charge, and he carried that form throughout the season. And hopefully someone else, well, we will see someone different win today, obviously, with Adam not being here. But fingers crossed that someone else will be able to do that.
Very smooth movement at the moment from Colin Spork behind the wheel. He's got it nicely nailed at the moment. 22-0 for the second sector, but Liam DeWile in the Adonis is actually purple in the first and second sectors. So even though Colin Spork is going to be the first one to bang in a lap time, it could be Liam DeWile in the Adonis engineering car, number 4, that gets up to the front of the field initially. Although Janic Simincic is on a flyer of a second sector, he's just banged in a 21.9 as across the line. Colin Spork will be the one with the opening gambit. Let's see what he can do as he comes across the line, and that is an initial banker lap of 1:19.9, and Liam DeWile immediately beats it with a 1:19.841. So straight up to the front there, and there you go. You're going to need to be in the 1:19s to be competitive in this qualifying session.
Yeah, practice rolled round and showed us that the 20.0 was the best lap here, but straight away Liam and Colin into the 19.9 and 19.8 respectively. Yoni comes across the line, does a 20.2 to go into 5th place. Kintai actually showing his class into 4th now, the replacement for Adonis Engineering. 4th place over 20.200, so nice and close already. The gap between 4th and 7th is 1/10 of a second, so nice and close.
And of course, the new format for 2021 for qualifying, they are out on their own individual circuits, as it were, to get the qualifying laps in. There's no tow, there's no traffic. You've just got to nail the lap times over the course of the 15-minute session. You get the circuit all to yourself, and that means that you really have got your pedal to the metal. Absolutely astonishing, though. The first 19 cars in the first flying lap separated by a second. Only Laurent Kiersmakers and Flo Gaia have not been able to get their first initial banker laps in at the start of the session. But you can see, obviously, on your screen that not for the want of trying, Laurent Kiersmakers is going to try and bang in a fast time. So it's obviously going to be very exciting from his point of view as he tries to nail the first lap. How is his sectors currently going? Well, for some reason, his sector times are not coming up on my timing screen. Some good performances, though, up at the front end of the field. It's DeWile at the moment from Spork and Rualt. Quintai, Simincic, Yannick Bock in 6th place. Then Gobi, Zapala, Nanek, and Mashuli in the top 10. And they're all separated by 0.6 of a second. So it's definitely very close. The only person making gains on this outlap at the moment is George Whitehouse, who's actually lapping very strong. A 120.779 for him to go 16th. 8 thousandths of a second off right kill. It's so close in this early phase of the season. As Eros Mashuli goes across the line on a 120.4. What about Laurent Kiersmakers? Like, that's going to be an intro. This is his starting lap. I do apologize. So he is now on the flying lap. That's why we haven't seen the flying lap from him. But the time to beat, as we know, is a 119.841. This is going to be very tough indeed to beat, Tom.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm quite surprised we're into 19 straight away. And Liam and Colin, both proven last year in Super League Lights, they were finished 1-2 in the end. So they both know what they're doing. And seeing them up in the top echelon of the league isn't really a surprise. Both the very fast Dutch drivers. Colin Spork, obviously, very, very young driver as well. So Colin's got loads more room and time to improve as well. But Kiersmaker's doing obviously a green sector. This will be his first time lap as he goes through these very, very tricky corners actually around this track. Now coming up to possibly the trickiest corners on this track. These fast left-right chicane. Make sure you want to clip the undercut, try and get the car in. Nicely stunned there by Laurent as he goes now onto the back straight.
So Florian Geyer's opening first sector was a 27.652. Kiersmakers did it in 27.4. So Kiersmakers definitely looking strong. He really is flirting with the limit, though, as he comes over the curbs. He's desperately trying to keep that car pointed in a straight line, but he is dancing with the seat all the way through these apexes, just trying to keep the car planted, but at the same time getting enough purchase and enough speed off the turn. This is going to be a quick lap. Is it going to be in the low 120s? It is going to be a strong lap indeed, as he comes across the line, a 120.064 straight away for Laurent Kiersmakers to get into third position with the opening lap. That shows bags of confidence in this Holland Racing Team car.
Yeah, they're looking pretty strong so far. Florian Geyer comes over the line. 21st place as it stands, 20.917. But I know Liam Duval is now on another lap. He's just gone purple through the first sector. What is the second sector going to be? Obviously looking on to really lead this team in the first race as I'm not here. And he's actually lost a little bit of time in the second sector there, but he's going to try and make up for that in this final sector.
Maciej Mlinek on a faster first sector still. The Edge Esports number 96 doing a 27.2 for the first sector and better than he has gone in the second split. So Maciej Mlinek could even be the man to grab pole position here as Duval is trying to eke out that extra little bit of time. Colin Sport going slightly quicker. I think we may be about to get a change of pole sitter, possibly twice in the next minute or so as Duval tries to better his time on a 119.8. He's not done it this time. He's missed out by a tenth of a second. But behind him, Colin Spork couldn't quite do the business either on a 119.992. What about Maciej Mlinek? This could be the pole position time for him as he comes across the line. It's only good enough for fifth. He hasn't quite tidied up that third sector yet. So he goes up to P5, but he's definitely about 0.4 of a second away as Gobby gets into third place now on a 119.992 with the best third sector of the session. Brilliant run from Fabrizio Gobby, and that is really pushing it to the limit. You're watching Germano Zappala as he comes across the line. He was on a 120.381. Is that an improvement? No, it's not. He just can't quite find it at the moment. So a very interesting one. I think Maciej Mlinek has actually slipped to 7th position as a result of that mistake in the third split. And he's nowhere near in the first sector, so he's going to have to try again with his final set of tyres.
Absolutely. Leon Bock as well. Quick shout out to him making his debut for Revolution Motorsports in the Super League, replacing Dennis Jordan from last year. In 5th place as it stands at the moment. Great job from Leon, therefore. He's actually ahead of his brother and former world champion, Yannick Bock, by a couple of tenths of a second. So good showing here from Leon. Actually, quick shout out as well to David Fydock. Currently in 10th place. Maybe he's not used to this being this low down a couple of years ago, but last year or so he has been struggling. So team in the top 10. Good showing from him so far.
His teammate Florian Geyer is still a second off the pace, and in this close a field, that is good enough only for 23rd on the grid of 26, so he's definitely going to need to find something pretty special as Leon Bock bails out on this lap, and he's got time to set up for one more. Maciej Mlinek is going to do the same thing, but it currently stands, as you can see on your screen to the left there, Liam Dewal on pole position provisionally on a 119.841 as Leon Bock goes out to try and better his time. Spork is in second place, Fabrizio Gobbi in third place from Laurent Kiersmakers and Leon Bock, then Stefan Roalt, Maciej Mlinek, Alessandro Quintana acquitting himself very well indeed in 8th place, filling in for the reigning champion Adam Maguire, then Jenic Simicic and David Fydock in the top 10 from Yannick Bock, Wright Kilk and Giuseppe Ragusa. Then we've got Zappala, Mashuli, Pascal, Gomez, Bach and Whitehouse. And then we have Pansar and Russo, Mus, Gaia, Stepkowski, And then we have Lino and Lucchini filling out the field for Ghost Speed and Green Stripes, but they're only 1.4 and 1.6 seconds off the pace respectfully. Just over 5 minutes left.
Absolutely, and I'm just watching Jonas Simic, currently in 9th place. I think Jonas is going to be a bit disappointed with that performance so far, but I'd like to be interested to see what he can do now. He is on a lap, so it'll be interesting to see if he can improve and get a bit higher up the grid. Yoni, obviously, very, very esteemed driver in other leagues around in R-Factor 2, one of the fastest R-Factor 2 open-wheeler drivers there is. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do in this field. At the moment, obviously, GPVWC Superleague, we do have R&D, but this round, they are all equal cars. So basically, it's all against all. It's just driver skill at this point.
Ivan Leonov clearly feels that Spork is for the win. Goodness me, Alessandro Quintai pushing it on this outlap as he really tries to find a little bit more pace in the third sector. That seems to be his undoing, and he's lost it! So easy to do when you get a little bit too much throttle on that curb and the car swaps ends. So easy to get right. Oh, and Kiersmacher is very nearly doing likewise.
Oh!
A couple of corners back.
Simic does the same thing as Quintai. Final corner, he spins out, loses his rear wing. He's just going to get back to the pit lane, but very, very lucky there for Simic to not have to go out again.
This is the thing. This is the thing. You see, this new format, there's only one person to blame if you get it wrong, and that's yourself. You have nowhere to hide from the scrutiny of the people watching. Mirko Lucchini's got a good lap in, a 120.531. That puts the Green Stripes driver right up into 18th place from the tail end of the field. So a good job there from Lucchini to move up several places. Eros Mashuli's just banged in a 120.3. That puts him 14th. And Florian Gaia has found a 120.7. So good work from him there. I think we're going to watch a replay of Jonic Simic. Look, the back end's come around very early on indeed. And he's just lost it completely. Unfortunately, just too much power too early. And the back end is overtaking the front.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I was on board with him during that lap, and it was a very, very loose car. And going through the second to last corner, he was drifting it round. And I thought, wow, that looks pretty impressive. It looks pretty quick as well. And then obviously it came round a bit too much in the final corner, which is a shame. Like I said, you're only going to be. He's still got one more opportunity to give it a go. So we'll see what he can do to go up the grid. But Fabrizio Gobbi on your screen right now on a absolute flyer.
Yeah, he's really going well, actually, Fabrizio Gobbi, and I think he may have the potential if he gets the third sector nailed perfectly. This final corner will be the test, and he absolutely blasts it round the final turn. This could be pole position from Gobbi. He's only got to make 0.15 of a second across the line. Has Gobbi done enough to bag pole position? Not quite, so near, though. A 1:19.905, that puts him P2, just 64 thousandths of a second away. Gobbi absolutely on the limit, and he still has just under 3 minutes to find that extra little bit of time as we watch Pedro Gomez of the Cenobite Motorsports team. He's currently running in 18th, but he's on personal bests in both first sectors of the lap. So as long as he tidies up this finish, we could see him move up a few places from 18th. He only needs to make up a 10th or two to make big gains on this field. So he's currently P18. What is this time going to be for him as he comes across the line? Oh, it's a big gain. Very nicely done. 13th place on a 120.281 for Pedro Gomez. He makes up 5 places. That's how good a performance you can make and how big a difference it's going to make to your entire Grand Prix if you nail it in that final sector.
If he'd got to the apex maybe half a thousandth before, he'd be in 11th. That's how close the margins we're looking here. He actually got the same time as Yannick Bock, so both on a 20.281. Obviously, Yannick saying his time first. But Yannick, down in 12th at the moment, will be feeling very disappointed that he's not higher up the grid. I think he is on a lap as we speak, so see if we can jump on board with him quickly. But yeah, Yannick's only in 12th, and considering he's a former champion now, obviously finished second last year, going to be a little bit disappointed where he is so far.
So now we're into the business end of qualifying where drivers are desperately trying to eke out that last bit of advantage from the car. Matthias Muss makes up 6 places to go 19th there on a 120.415. He can be very happy with that because obviously he was provisionally looking at starting from the back row of the grid. And the entire field, other than Giuseppe Lino of the Ghost Speed Racing team, is now separated by under a second. Only Giuseppe Lino is about 0.2 of a second back from Dan Stokowski. So if he can find a little bit more time, then he will be within that second of pole position. 26 drivers from around the world in GPVWC Super League, covered by a second. That's how competitive this league is. That's how astonishing the racing is going to be in 2021. I can't remember it ever being this close between all 26 cars at race 1.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, really. Like I said, only one driver outside 1 second so far, and that's Lino. And he's going to... I mean, they've all got one more lap. They're all on their hour laps now to get ready to go at one last blast. We've got a minute left of the session, and obviously, like you said, now it's a private qualifying session. It's all every man for themselves. They've got no tow, no dirty air to deal with. It's literally just put your best lap in. I think we're going to see some very quick laps as Lauren Kirsmakers goes off at the first turn, and that's his run over.
Well, Simičić has just managed to bang a 7th place time in there, 1 minute 20.137. He would have wanted a little bit more from that lap, I think, and he's not going to have any more time to put the Burst Esport number 17 around the track again. So he's going to have to settle for the 4th row of the grid on the inside at best. And that's if the few drivers around him are not going to improve their time. Duval commits big time to the first corner, very much flirting with track limits there at the first corner. And that could be his undoing on this lap. He's just got to nail it and hope now. There's some very quick drivers out there getting some lap times in. Giuseppe Ragusa breaks into the top 10 on a 1:20.223. Good work from the Italian to put the VBM GSR Sim Racing car into the top 10. But whether or not he'll be able to get there, Shadow Bounty 1 points out Gobby cutting the track to get to the line quick enough. Is that illegal? It's an interesting one. It'll be a tough debate. Colin Spork, his outlap, fastest of all in the first sector at 27.278. Spork is going for pole.
He is. Funny enough, Gobby didn't even make the line, so that was interesting. But Leon Bock's on an absolute fly, goes up to 4th place. Leon Bock, the Evolution rookie. So good stuff from him on a 20-point flat. So very, very impressive. But yeah, there's on board with Spork. What can he do in the last 4 corners of this track? Very,
big mistake from Spork, and I think that could have cost him pole position, actually. He ran right off the circuit, off the curb, and onto the grass. And I'm not sure that's going to be enough to get the pole position time. Mashuli goes 7th fastest, just in behind Kirsmakers. But I think Dewal may have this one. What can Colin Spork do as he comes across the line? He's pushed it to the limit, and it's a 1:19.769. It's the fastest time. But will it be legal? Because, of course, he ran off the road there at turn 13. If it's legal, then Colin Spork just stole pole position by 0.073 of a second.
Yeah, the in-game track limits are what runs the show now. So, yeah, that'll be, as long as that time's counted, as far as the game's concerned, that is a legal lap.
Well, that would be absolutely astonishing for Colin Spork to snatch it at the death there from Liam Dewal. And the Edge Esports driver looks like he's going to start this season, 2021, from pole position. Colin Spork from Liam Dewal, then Fabrizio Gobbi and Leon Bock, Stefan Rualt and Lauren Kirsmakers in the top 6. And the gap between them all, a whisker over a quarter of a second. Wow.
Close, yeah. You had 3 drivers making it into the 19s in the end. Leon Bock, 1,000th away from that. But I'm very impressed, actually, with Leon. 1912 qualifier. He's on his more esteemed brother, you could say, Yannick. So good stuff there from Leon. Actually, quite impressive. Rual as well. Both the Holland Racing Team drivers there in the top 6. The first team to have both cars next to each other on the grid. So very, very good stuff there from HRT. Hopefully we can see them improve further on in the race.
And of course, we had the 2 drivers at the back who needed to make some gains. We managed to see Dan Stepkowski drop to 26th place, but he was exactly 1.017 off pole position because Giuseppe Lino did improve his time in the end to 22nd. 0.9 off the pole. There is your provisional grid. Colin Spork and Liam Dewal, Fabrizio Gobbi and Leon Bock from Stefan Rualt and Lauren Kirsmakers, Eros Mashuli, Janic Simičić, and rounding out the top 10, Maciej Mlinek for Edge Esports and Wright Kilk of the Red Archer Virtual Racing Team. P11, it is Alessandro Quintai from Giuseppe Ragusa, David Feidek and Yannick Bock from Pedro Gomez and Thomas Vach. And then we have Germano Zappala, George Whitehouse acquitting himself well in the Mayor Downward Racing Team. Christian Pascal, his teammate, is behind him, and Matthias Mus in 20th position. The final 6 men on the grid, Mirko Lucchini and Giuseppe Lino from Florian Gaia in 23rd, Robin Pansar in 24th, and then it is Federico Rosso and Daniel Stepkowski. The final 2 drivers in, Jacob Reed and Amari Watson, will go off the back of the grid.
Yeah, so Jacob Reed obviously going to be driving for Scuderia Brasilia, going to be replacing Alpius, and Amari Watson, as we said earlier, will be replacing Mr. Name who's
Fabio Sixter.
Fabio Sixter, yeah. So Mari's going to be back. Will be there at the back.
Well, that's 1-1. That's 1-1 for us. We'll keep score as the season goes on, ladies and gentlemen. It'll probably look like a cricket score by the end of the season, never mind a football score. But a fabulous start to the season. And it's obviously going to be a fabulous opening Grand Prix. You can see there the track and air temperature, 26 degrees Celsius, fair weather ahead of us. I don't think we're going to be looking at any chances of rain for this one as well. So it's all going to be about the racecraft on the circuit. And what a way to start the season. The Albert Park circuit in Melbourne, Australia, the ultimate location for the start of the Grand Prix season. The warm-up is just getting underway. 10 minutes for the drivers to make their last changes before the race starts. And time for you to get your comments in and your predictions as to who is going to get the victory. It's definitely going to be very interesting. Mike Bell writes in on YouTube. I remember Fran Lopez did something similar in WSS Monza a few years back, including not making the lap, and then he got into some troubles. Interesting. It could be a fascinating Grand Prix for the man up front, Colin Spork, but he really has done a stunning job there to get the pole position.
Yeah, if I'm totally honest, I'm out of the blue. I mean, Colin did very, very well in the last race of last season in Brazil, finishing in 4th place, and proving to some drivers that you can do it, make a step up to Super League. But to get pole position against this field, it's very impressive. I mean, Liam always had the edge on him last year when they were teammates in Super League lights, but to beat him out by a couple of tenths, that's impressive.
And of course, a great start to the season for the Quasar engine as well, because they've been working on that for quite some time now. And to this day, they are still the lead team with that. Obviously, nowadays they have Scuderia Basilia and Holland Racing running the Quasar engines as well. But it's a good fillet for the team, and obviously a good fillet for the engine supplier as well. Maciej Mlinek, a full 8 places back from Colin Spork. That's not necessarily the order a lot of people would have expected to see. Liam Duval out-qualifying his Adonis Engineering teammate. Not exactly a shock, but Alessandro Quintai is no slouch. Managed to get the car 11th on the starting grid. In the teammates battle, while Fabrizio Gobbi has outpaced Giuseppe Ragusa, again by a good half dozen places or so. But the Evolution boys, very, very different in terms of their speed. Leon Bock, a full 9 places ahead of Yannick Bock. I thought they'd be closer together, Tom.
I mean, I thought Yannick would out-qualify Leon, if I'm brutally honest. But great job there from Leon to get into 5th place. I mean, Yannick will be able to start on the tyre of his choice. As I've just seen in one of our little broadcast chats, there are some grid penalties for tonight. So Christian Pascal, Yanni Simcic and Yannick Bock will all be serving a 10-place penalty, meaning that, which is actually a bit of a bummer for Simcic, because he's not only going to have to start on the soft tyres because he qualified in the top 10, but he's going to qualify, it's going to be starting a bit further down the grid. Pascal and Bock obviously starting outside the top 10 anyway, so they will have their same choice of tyre, but obviously a bit further down the grid than they would have liked.
So Pascal will go off 28th on the starting grid, so that's definitely not where he wanted to be. And we're also going to have, as you mentioned there, Yannick Bock way down at the cannon fodder end of the field. And that's the difficulty. When you're carrying a penalty, you really need as fast a lap time as you can possibly get in the qualifying session. Otherwise, you're in so much jeopardy once you get to the first corner. You've really got to be so careful. And never has it been more true in a field as competitive as this, that they've got to be so patient and they've got to essentially balance that level of controlled aggression with wisdom and foresight, because it's never more true than in a GPVWC Super League race. You can't win it on lap 1, but you can definitely lose it.
Yeah, and I was just going to say the same thing. That's the older days, isn't it? In all motorsport, you can't win the race in turn 1, but you can most definitely lose it, whether that be a front wing, a tyre, anything. And like I said, I think you just need to be very, very careful. Obviously, if you do have a grid penalty, you want to get pole and start from 10th place or 11th place as it would be, but it's not always possible. But you just want to be careful. Like I said, in that situation, if you are starting mid-pack, like I said, in such a closely fought series as this, you want to be starting just safely and as calmly as possible. Get through lap 1, get through lap 2 and 3, get through these first few laps. Make sure your car is clean, no damage. You can then get on with your race strategy and then just carry on with that. Pick people off as you go, and work on from there. We've got quite a few laps to get through, and it's not just like I said, it's not a sprint race. It's not a 1 or 2 lap race. So we want to be having a fun, fair race for the entire evening.
So this is now going to be a very interesting race as we head into it. We know how things are going to be incredibly close because we've obviously seen how tight it can be through qualifying. But the battle between De Waal and Spork definitely seems to have resumed from the tail end of last year. But is this going to be a 2-horse race, Tom, or are we going to see some good challenges from the likes of Gobbi and Kiersmakers in particular?
Yeah, I think it'd be foolish to say it'd be a 2-horse race at this point. No one knows anything. We're not sure who's going to be fastest. Liam may have the edge on the race pace. For all we know, someone a bit further down who starts on the alternative tyre may have a better strategy and a better race pace. So I'd like to think Colin will be up there anyway, so as will Liam. But to say it's a 2-horse race, I think he'd be a very, very brave man to say that.
And of course, we've got 5 different teams in the top 5 places. It really does show how ultra competitive and level the playing field is in 2021. Is this going to be a bit of a evolution from last year's ridiculously close battle for the title, or are we in danger of having a runaway like we did with Rudy Van Buren a few years ago? I certainly don't see that at this stage, because there's no one clear driver that seems to be making a massive run for it. It's all about the psychological upper hand at present.
Yeah, and even last year, like, Adam dominated the first race, but it wasn't, was it? I mean, like you say, yeah, Adam demolished the field in Australia last year, and everyone thought it was going to be a one-horse race. Next thing you know, it goes to the final race, both drivers and teams. So it's always good to get that momentum at the start, but it's not always, as you actually mentioned earlier, it's not always indicative as to who's going to be the champion at the end of the season. But it's good to know who's got the pace with an equal car as well, so you know who your main challengers are going to be. Like I said, when you see Rudy running away, I mean, I enjoyed that season. He was my teammate, so I loved it. But yeah, it's not great from a spectator point of view. But I don't think we'll be seeing that again this season.
It's definitely looking a lot closer than that season gave us indication of. This is the last chance, of course, the warm-up for the drivers to nail those last little adjustments to get them absolutely spot on. Indicative of their absence, a few drivers deciding not to go out in the warm-up session, the likes of Simoncic, Quintai, Ragusa, Lino, Fidek, Lucchini, and Gobbi. Just how important and crucial is this final warm-up? What are the drivers doing at this stage, Tom, to get themselves ready for the start?
So obviously qualifying, you want to go out as little fuel as possible. In the race, we've got no refueling here at GPVWC, as in real life F1, so they'll be getting used to that heavy fuel load again. They'll be practicing their starts from the starting grid, maybe even testing their pit boxes, maybe testing where the pit line limiter is, how far they've got to go down the pit lane. Lots of different things you can do in the warm-up. For example, Simoncic, he's actually done 4 laps in this session, but obviously not set a time, so I imagine he's gone out, tested, see what the grip's like, seen what his start procedure's like, and just making sure to getting used to the car again on high fuels. Probably for me, it's probably the main thing, and especially for someone qualifying outside the top 10, maybe a different tyre as well. Obviously, like I said, in qualifying you're all going to be looking at these red-walled soft tyres, but in the race, if you qualify outside the top 10, you can start on any compound you wish. That's the soft, medium, or hard. That's the red, soft, the medium yellow, and the hard white compound tyres. So they'll be testing that as well, obviously with the fuel loads as well. You can change the front wing as well, so you can have a little bit more grip on the heavier fuel. Personally, I don't use it too much, but I know of drivers who obviously use it a lot, and I can see why. It's just a personal thing, I wouldn't do it. But yeah, it can be quite an important 10 minutes, obviously, as well, making sure your PC's alive. Some people have been in and been out of the session to reset their internet, reset a computer, just making sure everything's running smoothly before this race.
Yeah, and Simoncic doing the old Carlos Reutemann, going fast at various points of the course and not actually stringing a whole lap together until he needs to. Absolutely fabulous differences in the strategies, and it gives us a little bit of an indication as well as to who is thinking what going into the race, because you obviously have different things you need to focus on. And we've seen this time and time again. Once the pit stop race really starts in the midpoint of the Grand Prix, when you've got drivers trying to mix up their tyre compounds and time their stints, this is where the races can be won and lost. What are we going to see from the tyre compounds here in Australia, Tom?
So, like I said, 3 different compounds we've got here. The top 10, I said the top 10. The top 10 qualifiers all must start on the soft compound tyre. Obviously, Joni Simoncic is going to be starting a bit further down the grid due to his grid penalty. But honestly, I think this will be the first time I've said this in about 4 years. I don't know how many pit stops they're going to be. I don't know which way's the fastest. In the last few years, we've seen one stop, easy every day of the week. One stop's always going to win. In Superleague Lights last night, the winning strategy was a 2-stop race. Obviously, those races are a little bit shorter than Superleague 1, so we may freeze 3-stop. But I have heard teams considering the 1-stop again. So maybe that's going to be a medium-hard, a hard-medium. I'd be very impressed if someone can make it from the soft to a hard. Definitely won't be able to do it on the soft to medium unless you're like super duper saving tyres, Checo Perez. But yeah, I don't know what the winning strategy is going to be. It depends on free air. Obviously, it can be quite difficult to overtake here, so you want to be get track position as much as you can, whether that will be the 2 or 3 stop. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what we're going to see today, which is first time I said that in a few years. So quite excited to see what's going to happen.
And is this race going to be won and lost in terms of driving aggression through the stints, or is this going to be more a calculated perspective as to who's going to look after their tyres better?
Hard to say at this point. I mean, like I said last year, you could bully the tyres all you wanted and you could still 1-stop no matter what you were doing. this year, like I said, if you are going to be going for that one stop, you want to be looking after those tyres quite early on. So you're going to be looking for maybe a slower train at the start, like obviously you have DRS trains, etc. Looking at some drivers, obviously maybe easing off the pace, then getting quicker towards the end. But personally, I think you'll be seeing maybe someone at the start, for example, like Colin Spork and Liam Duval. They'll be going as hard as they can, trying to make that gap to try and make a two-stop work, in my opinion. I think you will see Liam and Colin do a two-stop, but maybe someone just out to stop. Someone like Yannick Bock, for example, maybe trying to go a little bit further, try and maybe get in the way of some people who's racing, try and come on a bit further, stronger on towards the end.
Well, Wabaz on the chat says, soft hard is possible, but no way is it the fastest strategy. I wonder how many drivers will roll the dice and give it a gamble. The warm-up has now completed, so it's a matter of minutes before we go starting to race in the 2021 Super League season. It's already been a pretty epic couple of weeks to start this new 2021 sim racing season on the Grand Prix of R Factor 2, as far as the entire racing world on sim racing is concerned, and it is definitely going to be a strong season. We are going to have a cracking championship in 2021, and right here from the first round to the final round of the season in Brazil, we are going to have an absolutely sensational battle for the title. And it was always going to be this way with the competitive nature of the drivers on the starting grid for this one. But it's an all-Dutch battle on the front row of the starting grid as Edge Esports goes against Adonis Engineering. Colin Spork versus Liam de Waal. Bring it on. It's going to be an absolute cracker.
Yeah, I can't wait. And we've got a shaken up grid. I mean, I don't think anyone would have expected Colin and Liam to be on the front row. Maybe Liam on the front row, but maybe not second. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. We've got 58 laps of fun ahead of us here.
And we've got so many drivers, as you mentioned, out of position. Janik Simoncic will start 17th as a result of his grid penalty. Yannick Bock will go off 22nd on the starting grid. Christian Pascal from the very back of the field. So those are the penalties taken into account. And that promotes Alessandro Quintai into the top 10. Could be beneficial for him. Could also be a double-edged sword. We know how tricky things can get into the opening couple of corners of the race. But Colin Spork is ready for the opportunity of a lifetime to start his 2021 campaign from pole position and lead going away. Liam de Waal, though, is no slouch and certainly no newbie in this game. It'll be a tough one to see who is going to get the best of it, as the drivers are now pretty much all lined up in their position, ready to go around for their formation lap. The 2021 Super League season is just one formation lap away. Here's the grid. Colin Spork and Liam de Waal on the front row, from Fabrizio Gobbi and Leon Bock on the second. Stefan Rualt and Lauren Kiersmakers will be 5th and 6th position on the starting grid as they share row 3. And on row 4, and 7th and 8th, it is Eros Mashudi of Go Speed and Maciej Mlenek of Edge Esports. Rounding out the top 10 on row 5, it's Wright Kilt for Red Archer and Alessandro Quintai for Adonis. Then it's Giuseppe Ragusa in 11th and David Fidek for the Epic Racing team. Pedro Gomez and Thomas Vack will go together on row 7 of the grid for Cenobite Motorsports and powered by RSR. Germano Zappala will be 15th on the grid for Scuderia Basilia, and George Whitehouse of the MDR squad will be on the 8th row for his debut of the season. Janik Simoncic's penalty drops into 17th for Burst Esport. Matthias Mus will be there for Red Archer in 18th. And to round out the top 20, it's Mirko Lucchini of the Green Stripes Racing Team and Giuseppe Lino for Ghost Speed. Florian Geyer is 21st for Epic, and Yannick Bock is alongside him for Evolution. Robin Pansar for the Burst Esports squad is 23rd, and Federico Russo for Green Stripes is 24th. And to round out the field, it's Dan Stepkowski of the Powered by RSR team, Jacob Reed for Scuderia Basilia. On the back row, it's Amari Watson for Cenobite and Christian Pascal for MDR. This has all the makings of a classic season opener in 2021 Super League. Tom, what is your prediction going in?
Oh, can't put that on me so soon. You know what? I'm going to say, I think Fabrizio Gobbi. I don't know. He's always been quite good at looking after his tyres, so I think we could see Gobbi doing pretty well today. What about you, Colin? Give us your prediction quick.
I'm going to go left field and try out Lauren Kiersmakers from 6th on the starting grid. You never know what's going to happen in this race. And sometimes just being in the right place at the right time, you can bag a decent position. But that's not to suggest that Spork and de Waal won't get their chance to lead going away. If Spork gets the start he wants and deserves after all the hard work he and the Edge Esports team have been putting in, none of the other drivers in this field will see which way he went.
Absolutely. I was going to quickly go through the tyres we've got here. Ragusa starting on the softs. Fidok on the mediums, Gomez soft, Vark on soft as well, Zappala mediums, Whitehouse mediums, Simoncic will have to start on the soft due to his penalty, Moose mediums, Lucchini mediums. Lino, medium. Come on, Tom, you can do this. Fragaya, medium. Bok is on the soft. Panzer, medium. Russo, medium. Stepkowski, soft. Reed, medium. Amari Watson is on the medium. And Pascal's on the medium. So interestingly, no hard tyres here at the start.
So this is it, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for the Grand Prix Virtual World Championship 2021 Super League campaign to get underway here at Albert Park in Melbourne. Colin Spork, pole position, right-hand side. Liam Duval, second, left-hand side. Lights are going on, and the Australian Grand Prix in GPVWC Super League is on. Let's race at Melbourne! Terrific start initially off the grid from the man on pole position. Colin Spork getting away well as the field knits their way into turn one. It's an absolutely perfect start for the pole sitter as the rest of the field knits their way through early doors, and the cars are already starting to charge their way through. Is that smoke already for the man in third position, Fabrizio Gobbi? Clean start at the front, but already the drivers are starting to knit their way through. No major catastrophes in the early doors of racing as the field knits itself into a good rhythm. Now it's time to get up to speed and start to bang in those fast sector times.
Yeah, proud of you, boys. Well done. You managed to get through the first sector without any incidents, so very, very clean. Well done to you all. Leon Bock made a great start, getting up into fourth place, so he's made a gain already.
So this is an interesting opening lap as everybody just slots into a decent position. Maciej Minek already starting to make inroads into the fast starting Eros Mashuli. Good start from Mashuli actually to bang himself into the top six there. Lauren Kiersmakers did not get a good getaway. He's already dropped two down to 8th position. Kintai has got up into 9th position, and Pedro Gomez has made an absolute sizzling start as well. So some good moves through the field. A couple of drivers really struggling.
Oh, I've just seen someone go off. Who's that off? Coming off slowly, that is, can't quite see off the top of my head, I believe it's a Burst Esport of Panzer.
Well, that's not good news for Panzer. Robin Panzer obviously having an incident on the opening lap. Not everybody could keep it together then on the island.
Oh, yeah.
Of the first lap. So hopefully we'll get another chance to look at it and see what happened to Robin Panzer. But as they go into the second lap, it's Spork from De Waal, Gobbi, Bock, Rualt, Mashuli, Mlinek, Kiersmakers, Kintai and Pedro Gomez ahead of Wright Kilk and Giuseppe Ragusa. Good opening lap.
Yep, just seen Lino's got no wings either, so Lino and Panzer may have been involved in an incident there towards the end of the rear of the pack, which is a shame, but hopefully they'll be able to race on.
So Leon Bock trying already to get into the blind spots of Fabrizio Gobbi and start to give him a little bit more to think about than he would like in the early stages of this Australian Grand Prix in the GPVWC Super League 2021. Boy, is it good to be back, and the racing is already very tactical, very strategic, and incredibly intellectual as Mashuli is trying to get away from Linek, but Lauren Kiersmakers is putting the man in 7th position under pressure too. Kintai, Gomez and Kilk are just trying to stay in touch at the moment as the field are nicely spread out. Good start to the race thus far from Pedro Gomez. Made a decent, solid job of qualifying, and he is there now in P10 for Centrebike, trying to knock on the door of Quintai, who's got a lot of pressure on his shoulders to keep the hot seat warm for the reigning champion.
Absolutely, yeah, he's got like a lot of pressure. He wants to try and get the best result for Adonis, obviously looking to defend their title early doors. An interesting thing to note, actually, as we head on to lap 3, obviously DRS will be activated on this lap, and someone who won't have it will be Liam Duval. Collins had an absolutely corker of a start. He's over a second clear already.
That is an amazing impression as Colin Spork has already stretched out the gap. Let's look back and see what happened on that opening lap. We can have a replay now. And I think this is going to be the incident between Panzer and Lino. Oh, that's how it was done. Initially lost out there from Lino. It was Lino who lost the car. Look, he's gone a little too hot there. But was there initial contact from Panzer to start the move?
Yeah, it's hard to tell from this angle, but it looks like Robin may have given him the tiniest of nudges, obviously going into such a high-speed corner. Obviously, the downforce is going to be all over the place. And yeah, very, very unfortunate incident. Yeah,
I think that's one that one could be chalked down to a racing incident. Two drivers going for the same bit of road, and all it takes is just the merest whisker of a flick, and two cars are going to go straight to the scene of the incident. Liam De Waal trying to get back on terms here with Colin Spork. It's a good start from Spork initially, but De Waal was quicker than him, even by 1,000th of a second on the previous lap. So De Waal is just trying to get very close indeed to the tail end of Colin Spork. In fact, Spork has not had the best second sector. He's lost 0.7 of a second. So something's happened to Colin Spork on that lap. Did he drop it? Did he make a mistake? And that's now put Liam De Waal very much into the hunting zone.
Well, it could be a case of Colin's gone a bit too hard too soon on the tyres. Maybe he needs to get them back into a window where they're going to perform properly. But yeah, Liam now doesn't. Yeah, he pings open that DRS. So yeah, Liam back into DRS. Yeah, on our factor, it was actually the same time they set in the last lap. But yeah, Liam a couple of tenths quicker that lap, but that's enough to get back into DRS.
9/10 of a second is now the gap, so Liam de Waal is right back on the charge as the DRS flap opens once again on the charge now to turn 3. Many an overtaking move can be pulled off there, and Liam de Waal knows that he really can set off after the race leader. I'm interested to see where Spork lost that 7/10 of a second on the previous lap. I wonder if we're going to get a whiff of it again. We'll see if we can have a look back at it. There is Pedro Gomez, P10. Alessandro Quintai is still the man in front of him in 9th position, just trying to stretch away, but he's starting to lose the back bumper of Lauren Kiersmacher. So Kiersmacher's in 8th position. That rear wing is slowly becoming very, very small indeed as the Holland Racing Team car starts to stretch clear. Liam de Waal, fastest of all in the first sector, highly motivated in 2nd place now to get into the blind spot of Colin Spork. Fastest of all again in the 2nd sector. De Waal is absolutely on it as the DRS flap comes open again. And Liam de Waal is absolutely charging now.
Someone else who was charged as well, Leon Bog, is right on the back of Gobi. Gobi's lost the DRS to Liam in front of him, and Leon does have it on Gobi. So maybe we could see a move in the next couple of corners for the battle for 3rd place.
So back onto the straight and back onto the DRS comes Liam de Waal, hoping that he can gain a little bit more ground on Colin Spork. He sets the fastest lap of the race in the process as well. He is the hunter rather than the hunted, but that final sector for Colin Spork, very quick indeed. In fact, they both managed to set exactly the same time on the last lap, a 1:24.057, but for personal bests in the first 2 sectors and fastest of all, the credit actually goes the way of Liam de Waal. But look at this, as you mentioned, Tom, Gobi and Bok are definitely about to get it on for 3rd position. This could be a very nail-biting fight. And can Bok make an impression before the first round of pit stops?
Yeah, absolutely. He could do. If he can get himself onto a podium, we'd be very, very happy with that. Obviously, last year's Super Cup runner-up in the end. But yeah, proven that he can make the step up to the top echelon of the series very, very nicely. And pressuring 3rd place, we speak. Actually, Gobi looks like he's got quite a bit closer to Liam this lap.
I think there was a little mistake there from Colin Spork. He seemed to kick up the dust on the way through 9 and 10, and that's definitely put him on the back foot. I think the pressure is all on Colin Spork as de Waal is definitely starting to edge closer to him. In fact, yes, another mistake from Colin Spork. He lost 0.3 of a second in that 2nd split. So de Waal is doing all of the attitude on the circuit at the moment. This is going to be a nail-biter between the 2 men. As Spork and de Waal, the 2 Dutch chargers, are exceptionally quick in the early phase of the race, but Liam de Waal has never been more motivated to open his account with a win.
Absolutely, as Gobi still doesn't have his rear wing open. I'm surprised. I thought he'd be close enough by now. But yeah, Gobi not electing not to use it. Oh no, I think he did actually. It's just very hard to see from this angle. But yeah, so Gobi now starting to catch back up to these 2 ahead of him, and he's bringing Leon with him. We've got Mr. Ruau in 5th, kind of in no man's land. Masculi not quite close enough to make an impression.
It's always a difficult situation in the early phase of a race like this for Stefan Rualt. He's not quite close enough to make a challenge. He's far enough ahead of Masciuli not to be challenged, but it leaves you with a difficulty in terms of your motivation and morale. You've just got to try to keep plugging away and hope that the car is going to come good in the next sector and in the next stint of the race, because essentially once the top 4 have got clear, you're on your own in 5th position and it's all on you. You're in a microcosm of a moment as Leon Bok goes the fastest of all in the first sector. So Bok is definitely now a little motivated to push on Fabrizio Gobi, who set his personal best first sector of the race as well. So he is obviously now trying to make inroads into Liam de Waal in front. But this is a very, very tough battle at the moment as Spork and de Waal continue on their charge. We will have an absolutely exceptional run for the competitors as we get close to the first part of the end of the stint. And look how close de Waal is getting to Colin Spork. He's really feeling the heat now, the race leader. But with Gobi and Bok going faster all the time, this could even be a 4-way scrap for the victory. Never mind a 2-way scrap. So Liam de Waal still pushing in 2nd position as he tries to close in on Colin Spork. Gobi in 3rd position. Leon Bok in 4th place. Very quick laps indeed from Gobi. He did a 1:24.064 on the last lap. 1:24.067 for Leon Bok, and that is to be compared with Spork and de Waal, who did a 1:24.5 and a 1:24.4 respectfully. So Gobi and Bok definitely reining in the 2 leaders, who are basically corks in their own bottle at the moment. They can't quite speed away, and Gobby and Bock are definitely now starting to make inroads. This is going to be a sizzling charge for the victory, and it's all going to come down to who gets this right with the tyre strategies at the first pit stop.
Yeah, absolutely. You see if anyone can go a little bit further on their tyres. Obviously, new tyres are expecting to have a better, have a quick outlap, and obviously the undercut probably will be beneficial here. Obviously, we've not had any data to check if that's true yet, but I would expect in the last couple of years that has been the case, and I would imagine that to stay so this year. Some of the drivers who aren't on the soft tyre, incidentally, David Frylock in 13th on the mediums, doing a good job. Got a bit of a gap to Vuk behind him, and he's not losing Ragusa ahead of him, so Frylock in a good position to benefit from the alternative strategy today.
Yeah, and his lap times are actually very impressive consistently. He's in 1:24.5s and 1:24.7s. That's not a lot of time to lose at this phase of the race, as Gobby is already starting to give Liam Dewal a bit of a psychological headache. He just pops out a little bit to the middle of the circuit just to give Liam Dewal something to look at in his rearview mirror, starting to get a little bit irritating behind the Dutchman, like a wasp at a picnic. He really wants to unsettle the man in second position now. So Liam Dewal is giving it all he can to close up on the man in front. But he's also got one eye on the mirrors, and that's not a position you want to be in. That's where mistakes can really start to creep in.
No, I know they've had a bit of history of Gobby and Dewal as well, so I know they've not. They've had a few tussles in the past. Obviously, Liam and Gobby will be thinking about that as well as they go around. But like I said, they've got quite an equal gap, haven't they, between the four of them? 2 seconds separate them all. The four of them, but they're all about half a tenth off each other, so half a second, sorry, off each other. So interesting to say they all can't really get close. Maybe they're just playing it slow. Maybe they're just waiting for the opportunity to strike. But yeah, interesting to see. As like I said, if we got pit stops, I mean, we're expecting pit stops maybe around lap 15, 16 for these soft tyres. I've not actually had a proper look at when they'll be looking to come in. But yeah, it's very, very on a knife edge, as you'd say at the moment.
Keeping an eye on the midfield battle, here's the other VBM car. That's Giuseppe Ragusa, now making inroads into right Kilk. He actually went faster than he had gone previously in the last lap, a 1:24.426. One of the fastest drivers on the track in that last lap, actually. In fact, he was the fastest driver on track in that last lap, other than Alessandro Quintai. So a very good performance there from Giuseppe Ragusa as he continues to make inroads. 50 laps to go. We're still very much in the early stages of this first round of the 2021 GPVWC, the Grand Prix Virtual World Championship Super League campaign, the premier category of Grand Prix racing for R-Factor 2, and it really has been a stunning start to proceedings thus far. All 28 cars are still running, even though the problems on the early lap for Panzar and Lino, Robin Panzar and Giuseppe Lino, still circulating. So we've still got some good runs. Robin Panzar pitted and actually went onto the hard tyre. So he's obviously consolidating his losses there, Tom. And he feels that maybe he's going to have a long afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, that first lap incident wouldn't have helped his chances at all. I know he's quite further down the grid anyway. But yeah, losing out from a wing on that early, it's never going to be a good opportunity for you to get some points. And who knows, he may be able to make it to the end on these tyres. I'm not 100% sure, but I would imagine it'd be a stretch to get those tyres 57 laps.
I wonder if there's going to be some trouble in paradise at Adonis Engineering, because Alessandro Quintai has just set the fastest first sector of anybody, and he is solidly running in the 1:24.2s and 3s at the moment, which is faster even than the race leaders. He may not have had the best start to get a good track position, but he's definitely lighting up the timesheets at the moment. So this is a driver who's clearly trying to stake a claim for a reasonably full-time seat. Obviously, it's going to be hard to consider that when the champion Adam Maguire will hopefully return for the second round of the championship. But there's a young man here who wants a full-time seat in the Super League, and he's definitely staking a good claim to it here with a solid run in the top 10, a 1:24.582 on the last lap. That's faster than all four drivers in the top four.
Yeah, and he's making quite a lot of gains on Lauren Casemaker's ahead of him in 8th place, who's also on the back of Lineker, who's also on the back of Musculi. Musculi seems to be a little bit like a cork in the bottle at the moment for these guys behind him. So see if he can. I mean, he's not under massive pressure, but he's not quite on the back of Roa either in 5th. So bit of a like I said, a bit of a cork in the bottle at the moment for Musculi. But like I said, pit stops will be coming around soon. Let's have to see if that shakes up the order a bit.
That's an interesting point, actually, because the top four drivers are starting to back each other up. Looking at their lap times, they're on high 1:24s, low 1:25s, but Stefan Royal was half a second quicker than all four of them pretty much on the last lap. So now the top four drivers are essentially holding each other up. They're not really making any gains on each other. Oh, big moment for Maciej Malek, who manages to catch the car through 12. That very nearly went to Rye for him. He was able just to keep the back end travelling far enough over the curb that the tail end wasn't going to get too happy through the right-hand kink. He's very lucky to catch the car. But that is such a difficult chicane to set up anyway, Tom. When the car is on the lock stops, it wants to bite away with you, and you have to know and trust that that car is not going to slip out from underneath you.
Yeah, you don't want to be going backwards through any corners here, especially that one. So, yeah, you've got to try and make sure your car is as strong and stable as it can be throughout these corners. And yeah, the circuit's a bit tricky. It's a street circuit officially. Obviously, it doesn't have the walls like Monaco and Azerbaijan do. But yeah, it's quite a tricky circuit. If you go off, you're going to go off big, and not much room for error here. So it's important to keep it on the island. A quick shout out to George Whitehouse. He's holding a bit of a train behind him in 18th. Running all the way down to about 23rd, 24th place. He's got quite a few drivers behind him in the MDR car, obviously replacing Francesconi. He's been very, very, very vocal in the comments, obviously, in YouTube at the moment. So good job to George at the moment to keep it on the island in 18th.
And of course, we also have an interesting development from Jonic Simičić. He's actually going faster than the race leaders himself as well, trying to make up the gains. He's got as high as 15th at the moment, so he didn't actually get the best of starts, did Jonic Simičić, because he was starting in 17th. Would like to have made a bit more of a gain than he did. But again, we were talking about that start. You've got to keep it so critical and so careful in those first couple of laps. Otherwise, you're just going to have a trip to the pit. And that is not what he wanted in the opening sequence. So maybe sacrificing an overtaking move for keeping a strong, stable car underneath him. Because this is a long race. You can't just go gung-ho and tail happy into turn one, because that is where disaster lies. So the drivers have actually been incredibly strong over the course of the first battle. So through they come at the end of the first stint, and we are now heading into lap 13 as the drivers are working their magic. So Colin Spork still there as Liam De Waal runs in second position from Fabrizio Gobbi, Leon Box, Stefan Rualt and Eros Mashuli. Mlanek is in 7th place, Kiersmak is in 8th, Quintine Gomez in the top 10. Not the massive amount of overtaking, but then this is always a very difficult circuit to overtake on. And this intriguing four-way scrap up front, which has the threatenings of potentially becoming a five-way scrap if Stefan Rualt keeps closing in on them, is definitely going to be very, very tight once the pit stops begin.
Yeah, I think these guys are all waiting for the pit stops, especially someone like Liam. I think he feels like maybe Colin may be holding them up. I can imagine Liam probably having the pace on him if he was getting some clear air. So yeah, I think these boys are just going to be waiting for the first pit stops to be coming around. Like I said, very, very soon. I'd imagine them to be coming around as well. But it does seem to me that Liam's more under pressure. Well, I say that. He's probably now a bit further closer to Spork rather than Spock. No, that's completely the wrong thing. But yeah, Colin, yeah, Liam seems to be heading towards going. 1 minute he's closer to Gobbi, next minute he's closer to Spork. I think Liam's kind of controlling his pace at the moment, looking after the tyres and dirty air, controlling his race, making sure he gets through this first phase of the race safely, and an attack from after his first pit stop.
Look at how close these top four guys are in the final sector. It's so nail-biting. You know that just one microcosm of a mistake, and this race is going to completely turn on its head as four drivers are getting very close indeed. Gobbi is going to have his best chance of a run at De Waal. He's not going to be able to throw it up the inside of turn 3 this time, but if he keeps it lit for the remainder of the first sector and then into the second, he might have a chance into turn 13 if he can get on the DRS. This is so close for Gobbi. He's got the best chance possible yet of moving up into second position as he trails after De Waal.
Yannick Box had an instant somewhere. He's now back into 25th place, so I'm not sure if he pitted the tyres and he had to quickly have a look back. But yeah, Yannick Box now down into 25th.
I think he's had a spin because his first sector was a good 4 seconds off the pace, and then he went purple in the second sector to compensate. So I think that might have been a spin for Yannick Bock. Well spotted, so we might be able to get a replay on that one. It's not going to be very easy to figure out where he has done that. But Fabrizio Gobbi, very motivated behind De Waal. The DRS flap opens up once again, but it's counteracted by De Waal because he gets it from the man in front of him, Colin Spork. And Leon Bock is getting exactly the same opportunity by closing in behind Gobbi. So it is an absolute stalemate. But look how close to each other they get under braking for these final couple of corners. This is where you really need to nail the exit. Watch with Gobbi. He's got a good chance here on De Waal. De Waal a little bit more fluid with the curbs. But this is a great opportunity for Fabrizio Gobbi, and he knows it. He's getting very close into the braking zone. Would he try for a brave move, especially now that De Waal has puffed up some smoke, dust, on the way through the first couple of corners? He's not quite close enough yet. He can't afford to gamble so early into the race.
Yeah, I mean, he has done some dive bombs in his time, but I don't think he'd be going that far. But yeah, that's Jeffrey Fournier. I just posted in the comments on YouTube. Yeah, I've gone back, and yeah, he is going for an undercut. So Yannick has come in for the first scheduled stop of the drivers today, and he is going for a crazy undercut. And like you say, he's been setting purple sectors, left, right, and centre. So Yannick, interesting to see where he comes out. He sets a new best time, 1:23.722. Much faster than anyone else on track. So it'll be interesting to see where Yannick comes out after these first pit stops come through.
And if there's any driver who's going to be able to make the crazy undercut work, it's definitely Yannick Bock. So it could be fascinating to see what he can do. 17 seconds to leave the race before his pit stop. So obviously there's a bit of work to do for Yannick Bock. He is currently now 33 seconds back. So he's definitely got time to work. Yellow in sector 2. Yellow in sector 2. So someone's gone in sector 2.
Zapala is off.
Well, that is very unfortunate indeed. I wonder if we'll get another look at it, but definitely for Germano Zapala, who is tumbling down the order. The likes of Stepkowski, Rosso, Pascal, and Amari Watson all going through. The only drivers who haven't got past him are Yannick Bock, who's pitted, obviously, and then Reed, Panzar, and Lino. So Germano Zapala, and you can see there he's missing his front wing, so I'm not quite sure where on the circuit he would have dropped it. But he's got to be careful, and Yannick Bock does not want to get held up behind Zapala for too long. In fact, look, he doesn't cause any issues at all there for Yannick Bock, who storms by, continuing his amazing run. So that's very well handled by Germano Zapala and very sensible. So let's have a look at it again. I think we're going to see what happened to extricate Germano Zapala's wing from the rest of the car. He's on the way down to turn 9. What's going to happen? Oh, he's caught the grass. Oh, so easy to do, Tom.
Yeah, I've done it a few times myself in Formula Challenge. So yeah, very easy to do. A big shame, but he'll be able to fight back. Obviously, he won the last race of last season in Brazil, so we know he's got the speed in him. Obviously, he's struggling a bit further down the field today, but yeah, still plenty of time to go. Still plenty of time to make something work. But yeah, big disappointment.
We're talking millimeters as well. That tyre was over the line, onto the over the yellow line onto the grass. So that was very tough. Now, how about this? We got De Waal very close in behind Colin Spork now. So this could be absolutely opportunistic for Liam De Waal. If he can get a good exit from these final couple of corners, he can really start to make Spork sweat.
Gobby's gone into the pits.
Yep, Gobby decides to make the undercut. Okay. So Gobby and Bock in together. Well spotted. So Fabrizio Gobby and Leon Bock both decide we can't get by them on the track. We're going to do it in the pit lane. And this is getting very exciting between these two. They're both pushing it. Just a little bit of a mistake for Liam De Waal. He just went a little over the apron there. So Colin Spork able to keep in front at least for another sector. But it's definitely getting pretty tense. And they're two big rivals in this race. Gobby and Bock have both decided to pit in. So this could be crucial come the race strategy. Are they going to jump Spork and De Waal?
Oh, look at that. Gobby has managed to get out in front of this massive field with Whitehouse and Moose in front of him. So Bock's got overtaken those two on track. Lucchini doesn't quite get by. We had Gomez as well looking to in the pit as well as who was actually made a pit? Rual's actually already pitted, I think. So he's now in 14th. I
think we've got De Waal sizing up a move here on Spork. Sorry to cut you off, Tom, but I think De Waal might have a chance to go for it here. This is the closest he's been all race, and he really gets an opportunity now on Spork. If he can get the DRS open and make a challenge, Spork could even have problems trying to keep this tyre life under wraps. In fact, he is drifting slightly wide. So De Waal, if he doesn't decide to pit, might even get him on the circuit. But if I was Liam De Waal at this moment, I would try and blink before Spork. What's Spork going to do? Is he going to pit on this lap? Yes, he does. So Spork pits. De Waal continues on.
Looking for the overcut here. He's banking on Spork coming out in some traffic. I'd be surprised if that's the case. But yeah, we've got quite a few now. The soft runners coming. Kilt comes in now from 6th place. So Rual also came in that pit stop. Didn't manage to jump Leon Bock or Fabrizio Gobby. So now
there's Gobby. There's Gobby. Is he going to be able to jump past the man who was your leader, Colin Spork? I think he's going to do it, you know. They're going to come down the straight together. I think Gobby is going to jump Spork. He's going to be very, very close indeed to the first corner. He's going to commit to it. He goes wide off on the grass. Nearly loses it. Spork just hangs on. My goodness.
What is vital now for Spork is that he has got clear air. The next car ahead of him is Yanni Simčić, miles up the road. So good stuff for Spork. Now Liam's going to have to respond on this lap, unless he is going for an alternative strategy.
Missed opportunity for Fabrizio Gobby. He can't avoid that one. He needed to jump Spork to stand a good chance of making this second stint work. And that was inches away from disaster. He just managed to catch the back end of the car from squirreling around into the braking zone. That was so close. And there was almost nearly contact between the two. Now, what is Liam De Waal going to do? He may well have been told, of course, that there was a little bit of a close thing between the two drivers up in the battle behind him. So is this going to be the lap for De Waal to pit in? No, he's going to continue on. This is fascinating, Tom. He's going to make the tyres work.
So I wonder if he's going to go two-stop still. So I think the boys are going to be on two-stop now. They'll be on soft, medium, medium. But I'm now wondering if Liam's going to try and do a soft, medium stint, maybe? Oh, as I've just heard a crash there. What on earth's happened there? As we see, Mleinek now into pits.
Now, who is it that's gone? So Mleinek has gone into the pits. That promotes Kiersmak as the second.
It's Gomez. Gomez out.
Oh, no. Poor Gomez. He was doing such a decent job up until that point. Maybe we can see a replay of that incident.
Oh, no. He's had a screen freeze. Oh, he's hit his teammate off. Oh, unbelievable. Unbelievable bad luck there. Right Kilk. So he's basically had a screen freeze by the looks of it. Right Kilk's gone into him, lost his front wing, and then the Cenobites have just come together. They've just come together and absolutely no way they could avoid it. And yeah, both Cenobites out of this race.
Well, that is an absolute disaster for Gomez and Watson. We're going to have a look back at that if we get an opportunity. Here's Simoncic, now in 5th position. So his gamble seems to have paid off because he's now in an incredibly strong position. And let's not forget that Jurnic Simoncic has now moved his way up into 5th position. Obviously, Yannick Bock was the one who made the early pit stop, but Simoncic now getting himself into a good position here. He might be able to make something of this race now. He's still going to have to make a pit stop relatively soon, of course, because he still has the disadvantage of being on soft tyres after his penalty. So we're going to have a look back from Right Kilk because he got the best seat in the house for that incident. Let's see if we've got a look at what happened. So here's Right Kilk. Gomez is going to drop it. So let's have a look and see. Oh, a failure for the car. The car failed. The car failed. Right Kilk had nowhere to go. So Right Kilk, we're going to look at it again. And you can see that Pedro Gomez, essentially, the car has failed on him. Look, the car is slowing up. Now, this is a replay on board from Pedro Gomez. And we can see what's happened. Look, the car has failed on him. He spins the car and he catches his teammate. And that is a huge shunt.
Duval in. Is he going to jump? He is. Oh, it's close. Oh, it's side by side going into turn 1 with Spot. Oh, Gobi wants to move as well. Oh, well done. Well avoided. Liam loses the place to Gobi and to doesn't lose space to Sport. But yeah, Gobi now into provisional P2. But yeah, obviously much fresher tyres on Liam's car. So Gobi's actually on the softs. He pits into the softs, sorry. Yeah,
so Gobi is now the man who's going to challenge Spork. I wonder if we can see that one again, because on the stream we cut back to when Duval had already been overtaken by Spork and Gobi. So it could be worth a look to see how that one played out. But Duval going a couple of laps longer, it didn't actually give him the chance to cut back. So unfortunately, he is now in net P3 with Gobi with the best chance to go after Colin Spork. And we already know how fired up and motivated he is after his earlier moment. David Fidek, though, he gets the glory moment as he leads the race currently. And, of course, he's on the medium tyres, so we're going to see a few laps of Fidek up front, unless, of course, Spork and Gobi can catch him and make the move on the road. But you can see that Gobi's very motivated in behind Colin Spork as Fidek does actually make the pit stop. So that's it, his lap in the sunshine. Look at how close Gobi is getting now to Spork. He wants to go for him on the DRS. He's closer to him than I've ever seen a driver in this race thus far make the bid. Spork is trying to defend. Gobi is going aggressive. This move is imminent.
As is our Leon Bock on George Whitehouse. Leon Bock has been absolutely gone over here in the pit stop phase. He's now back into 4th place, overtaking Whitehouse going into turn 3. But he is now miles off the top 3.
This is not where Leon Bock wanted to be at all. It becomes a 3-horse race, and Leon Bock, unfortunately, the recipient of all the bad luck in the first stint. But now we've got Fabrizio Gobi. Look, he's swarming around behind Colin Spork. If he nails this and Spork is struggling, he's got a great chance because, of course, let's not forget that Gobi's on the softs, Spork is on the mediums. Gobi wants to try and make this work. And as he gets close to him, he's definitely going to have a shot on DRS down towards 13. If he nails it, he might have a chance. He's not quite close enough. You can't make that big a gamble. You can't make that big a launch from that far back. So Gobi's going to have to wait. And this is the difficulty with this circuit. Even the DRS zones don't really lend you to a brilliant opportunity to launch. You've got to hope for driver error up front. Now he's going to have another opportunity down the home straight. And this is a much better opportunity for Fabrizio Gobi. Can he line it up out of the final turn? He's definitely closer than he has been before. This is all about Colin Spork. What does he do? He's getting very close, very close. This is the chance for Gobi, and he knows it. Up the inside, Gobi takes the lead, but can he hold it on the exit? Yes, he does. Fabrizio Gobi leads the Australian Grand Prix. Beautiful.
Lovely, and he's got DRS to cut away the threat from Colin, but Colin didn't put so much of a fight. He probably knows that Gobi's on the soft, so he's on the medium, so on different strategies. So if he can try and keep with Fabrizio, there's a very good chance, obviously, Fabrizio definitely needs to make another stop. Obviously, you need to use 2 compounds of tyre here in GPVWC throughout the race, and Gobby obviously only used soft so far compared to the mediums of Colin. So obviously, I'd imagine Colin's going to be back in again anyway. But yeah, now this is Gobby's time to shine. He needs to try and pull away now, as Liam is now back on the back of Colin Spork.
So Liam Duval obviously working his magic to try and get close to Colin Spork. Let's look back at that overtaking move for the lead from Fabrizio Gobby. He really did nail it at exactly the right moment. This is his chance again. You can see he's got to make this work. They've got a car coming out of the pits there as well, I do believe, to make that one work. Oh no, that is the incident of how Gobby and Spork managed to get past Liam Duval. That's how it worked. So Gobby was actually trying to make an overtaking move on Spork when that happened. So that was a very near miss indeed, as you pointed out at the time, Tom. And they were very lucky to get away with that one. But look at the pace now that Gobby is exerting. He needs to do this. He needs to build a bit of a gap between himself and Spork as we go yellow in Sector 3. Who's dropped it? An interesting question to answer. Maybe we'll try and catch up with that one, but certainly an incident or two in Sector 3. Oh, I think it might be George Whitehouse. I think we've lost George Whitehouse from the race, certainly from the top 10 we have, as he drops down to 13th. So looks like a bit of an incident for the MDR. We'll try and get a look back on it, but George Whitehouse has definitely lost some ground. He was in P10. He's now 13th. He's had a bit of a moment out of the final sector, a good 8 seconds gone. So we'll have to see what happened for George Whitehouse.
Sorry, I dropped you for a second there, but he's actually, I think he might have just come into the pits or leave, because he's now losing hand over fist. I'm not actually sure. Let's, like I said, have to have a look back. But yeah, he's now down to 15th place after Simoncic and Vark have managed to overtake him. Now, Vark on the hard compound tyres, interestingly. So have to see if Vark can make them last to the end.
Well, we certainly had a yellow Sector 3. Let's have a look back at an incident. Is it going to be George Whitehouse? Yes, it is. He's come through into turn 15, and the back end's overtaken. Oh, and that really caused a bit of a headache there, actually, for Lauren Kiersmakers, I think that was. So Kiersmakers basically had to slam on the brakes and wait for the car to clear, and that's definitely cost him a lot of time, as Whitehouse was up in that top 10, and now Kiersmakers has got Quintine fired it for company. Only George Whitehouse now hasn't pitted, and maybe that's the reason for the spin. Maybe the tyres just got underway.
Yeah, absolutely. The tyres, I think, are just starting to die a little bit now. Masculi got past as well in that phase, so Masculi benefiting from that spin there.
So Gobby is stretching away. The gap has opened up to 2.2 seconds. Softs versus mediums, of course. But Spork and Duval are having a fascinating challenge. And yet again, it's stalemate between these two. Duval just can't quite get close enough. This is not the easiest race circuit for overtaking moves. And Duval, on the same tyre compound as Spork, just doesn't seem to have the edge in order to be able to get one over on him. And he really does want to find that little bit of extra pace. The problem is, Tom, on a circuit like this, you've got to half rely on the most perfect of exits in the toe, but also on a little bit of luck for a driver in front just getting it slightly wrong. And we're talking millimetres offline.
I mean, yeah, look at Zapala. He was, maybe a millimetre on the grass, and he went off. And like you said at the time, it's such an easy mistake to make, especially somewhere like here where there really is no room for error, especially in sectors 2 and 3. So you need to have your wits about you, and if you do see these opportunities, like Masculi did, someone has an incident in front of you, you've got to be able there to capitalise on it. But going back to Liam, obviously, is he struggling to keep up with Spork, or is he looking after his tyres? Obviously, remember, he stopped 3 or 4 laps later than Spork did initially. So obviously, maybe looking to go back onto the softs for the final stint. Maybe Colin's thinking the same. We'll have to see. But Gobby, like I said, absolutely flying away now at ahead of the field, trying to make this 2, maybe even a 3 stop. We're not sure yet. But Gobby's always been quite good on his tyres. So obviously, like I said, has to make one more stop. Let's see how far he can go now on these softs as he leads.
So we have just the 3 retirements from the race so far. Germano Zapala, after his earlier incident, now no longer racing. And unfortunately, the Cenobite team wiped out in a heartbreaking moment for Pedro Gomez, with his teammate Amari Watson unable to get out of his way. And Wright Kilk, I have to say, is lucky to still be going as a result of that. He went into the wall just trying to get out of the firing line of Pedro Gomez's car, and even he couldn't quite manage it. George Whitehouse has finally pitted by the look of it, and now he is down to 21st position as a result of that. So not where he wants to be, and certainly it didn't make the strategy work the way he would have wanted to. But Fabrizio Gobby is doing his best to make sure he can. as the gap is now in the 3.5 second mark, roughly, as he continues to stretch away. Your inset, you're looking at Eros Mashuli, quietly getting on with the job here behind Stefan Rualt and Maciej Mlanek, who has managed to work his way into 6th position. Haven't spoken much about Maciej Mlanek in this one, solidly working his way up into the top 6, chasing after Stefan Rualt, who is still in no man's land, but this is a good work, a good effort from Maciej Mlanek to break his way into the top 6 past Mashuli.
Yeah, and I think that's something Maciej's known for. You can always rely on him for a solid top 7, top 8 result, and like I said, 6th place at the moment. I think he was one of the early pitters as well, so he's benefited quite well from that pit stop phase. But yeah, it's good to see him up there. Really nice guy, Maciej. So good to see him up in 6th. I know there was a battle. I was between Simoncic and who was it? Simoncic and Vuk for 13th place. Simoncic dives up the inside, going to turn 3. Simoncic on the it's a bit of wheel bang going on there. Simoncic on the mediums and Vuk on the hards, but Simoncic gets the move done, and Simoncic up into 13th place.
And his next target is Yannick Bock, who of course is trying to get himself back into the top 10, into a point scoring position once again. But Fabrizio Gobbi leads the way, extending out to 3.1 seconds. Colin Spork under pressure here on the last lap. Colin Spork did a 1:24.9 compared to Liam Duval on a 1:23.9, his best lap of the race. So Duval definitely giving Colin Spork all of the pressure. But for Fabrizio Gobbi, he knows this is his chance. This is his opportunity. He needs to push the GSR VBM car to its limits and try to stretch away. There's the sister car, Giuseppe Ragusa, currently running in 11th position, trying to chase down David Feidek. I'm actually very impressed with Feidek in this one. Yes, he's had his turn leading the race, but staying out that little bit longer and making the tyres work. He's in the top 10, and that's no accident.
No, and you know what? I wasn't going to say it earlier on before the incident happened. David, 10th place. Appeared later than everyone else. He's gone on to mediums again, so he's going to be on the soft tyres, I would imagine, for the stint after this, unless he is going to go a free stop. But yeah, really looking quite strong. He's got Kinsai in front of him, who's already been on the soft tyres, so we know that Kinsai doesn't have to use softs again. Keersmaker's ahead of him, not too far up the road. Masculi not too far up the road as well. I mean, Feidek's in with a real chance of potentially getting like a 6th or 5th place here today, really. So I know in pre-season he was looking at feeling pretty confident. So yeah, good stuff from him today.
Now, Fabrizio Gobbi's strategy, he's obviously decided to go for the soft medium approach, as Giuseppe Ragusa nearly tag slaps it into the barrier out of turn 6. That was so nearly a big accident for him. He manages to catch the car just in the nick of time. But I was going to talk about Fabrizio Gobbi out in the lead of the race. He is stretching away from Spork, but is he doing it fast enough? Is that gap going to be big enough to give him the cushion he needs? Because, of course, the tyre compound he's going to go on to next is going to be the mediums. I will bet most of the assets in my house that Spork is going to try and go for softs in the final stint, try and stretch these tyres out a little bit further. Is that going to be enough for Gobbi to get the over the cut?
Oh, we'll see. I mean, Gobbi may still do a free stop yet. He may get back onto the softs again. Oh, as I've just heard a buff in the background. Who on earth?
Yeah. Oh, it's a big one. That is, that's Pascal. That's a big shot for Christian Pascal.
Coming out of fast chicane. And I think he has just dropped it, as we saw earlier on. And yeah, it looks like he's dropped it all on his own. Here he goes, coming out of 12. And yep, that cane comes out, he saves it. Overcorrection, and biff, out goes the rear wing. Unfortunately, that is his race over.
It's so easy to do as well. Once you start to save the car, you genuinely think you've got it, but the shift in transfer of weight and the gravitational pull as the center of gravity shifts, it's just such a big moment. And of course, you're in a fast part of the course as well there at turn 11 and 12. All it takes is just the wrong angle, the wrong overcorrection, and that's a monumental accident. It's very nearly an aeroplane accident at that point of the course. We're going to try and have another look at it. So let's see how Christian Pascal lost it. We've just seen Spork and De Waal go through there. This is how not to do it. We're on board with Christian Pascal. He's following behind another car. Boom. That's it. It goes. He corrects it, as you say, but he's just caught it again on the way out of the curb, and it swaps ends a second time. And there's no way you're going to be able to save that one.
So the dynamic balance has changed, but we've got a battle for second place now. Spork has actually got DRS from Panzer in front of him. Panzer going to be a lapped car in any second, but Liam Duval right on the back now, and I think he can smell blood.
He's going to give it a try, but he's messed up there big time through the first couple of corners because he had a chance there to leap into second position. That was his moment. and he didn't get the chance to pounce on it. So Colin Spork actually holds all of the psychological cards here. He's playing all the mind games, and it's actually De Waal who's messing up, not Spork. So Colin Spork is definitely stepping up to the table. That was a missed opportunity there for Liam De Waal. He really couldn't have afforded to drop it there on the exit of the first corner, because that's exactly the kind of chance that could have given him a second place run. They could have used Panzer there and make their move past Panzer. But that was, definitely a dropped ball there, a dropped stitch in the tapestry for Liam De Waal.
I mean, so Colin, like you say, Colin had the DRS from Robin, so that probably gave him that extra little couple of kilometres an hour just to keep Liam at bay, and Liam's now dropped back a little bit more. There's a good battle actually going on between the 12th and 13th. I don't know if I'd say this sentence, but it's between Jurny Simoncic and Yannick Bock. Jurny's been catching Yannick for the last couple of laps now, and now on its tail, going through 11-12 chicane. Yannick's going to have DRS. And it's not, I don't know if it's close enough to make a move, but yeah, 11th and 12th place for these two drivers are such high caliber. Not something a sentence I thought I'd be saying today.
No, indeed. We had another yellow there briefly in the sector. Someone went off and then rejoined. I don't know if that's a big enough incident to worry anything. I think it was Dan Stupkowski, because he's lost time on the previous lap down to 17th behind Federico Russo. So it might have been him just having a little excursion. I don't think it's caused too much of a difficulty for him, but this is the chance, as you mentioned here, for Tom for Simoncic, and he's never going to back down from the chance. Diving to the inside line, Yannick Bock fights it out, but he has to let him go.
Simoncic gave him just enough room to stay on the track, but yeah, pushed him up, pinched him a little bit. But yeah, good stuff from Simoncic, now up to 12th place. Good comeback.
And that's exactly what he needed to do. This is now going to give him that little bit of a motivational kick to start charging forward. And good defensive driving there from Yannick Bock. Once you've got the car alongside, the only thing you can really do is hope to psych him out by trying to match the braking point and try and get as far into the rear quarter as you possibly can without making contact. So Yannick Bock doing everything he could to give room whilst also challenging the mistake from Simoncic, but it never came. So Janic Simoncic able to get into 12th position there quite adequately. Liam De Waal setting the fastest first sector of the race that he has done, a 28.6. Unfortunately for him, it's not fast. It's not as fast as Colin Spork has just done on this lap. Never mind over the course of the race. So he's still giving it everything he's got. And that's his best performance in the first sector today. But it's still not quite close enough to match the raw pace of Colin Spork. Has Liam De Waal missed his chance to take the victory, or is there still going to be another one up the road?
I think there's a twist in his tail yet to come. I mean, we've still got plenty of laps to go. So he's gone fresher tyres, remember, as well. So we don't know if Liam's going to try and make an assault when Colin's tyres start to die off a little bit more. These tyres do hit a cliff. So when that cliff does come, if Colin does get to that point, Liam's going to be ready to pounce. And obviously, Gobby, I'm not sure what his strategy is as of yet. So still plenty of time left in this race. And I'm quite excited to see actually how it goes.
And just like that, we're beyond half distance. How about that? 29 laps completed, 29 to go. It's literally gone in the blink of an eye. That's how brilliant this championship is. It goes so fast, and you don't even notice the laps ticking down. The racing is absolutely awesome. Oh, Wright Kilk has had an incident. I think Wright Kilk might be out of the race, and we seem to have lost Florian Gaia as well. So Florian Gaia has had a moment, just a couple of laps after Christian Pascal. Wright Kilk made a pit stop, I do apologise. So Kilk made a pit stop, but Florian Gaia, I think he's gone. I think he's out of the race. I'm not quite sure what happened to Florian Gaia, but certainly game over for him, quite literally. That's a different one. So yeah. we're gonna have a look back over what happened to Florian Gaia. Let's look back and see why we have lost the Epic Racing driver from the fray. He's running there in a nice battle in front of him. Now is that big mistake. Oh dear, and that's the right side of the car completely destroyed from his point of view. The suspension will not be anywhere near usable, and that is how easy it is to drop it at the exit of turn 2. That's almost a replica of the Valtteri Bottas qualifying accident, only the exit of the corner is where he lost it rather than the mid-apex. So easy there to get it wrong, and unfortunately, the usually rather inflammable Florian Gaia just getting it slightly wrong, and it's curtains for his race.
Yeah, he was trying to set up the move for turn 3, wasn't he? Trying to get the run on Stupkowski going into turn 3, but like I said, a little bit too much on the grass, and round he goes. And like I said, he's just brought back into the pits. Like I said, game over. Save the fuel, save the tyres for the money for the team, and live to fight on another day.
Right, I'd like to suggest that Fabrizio Gobbi's got this strategy right, but I'm not so sure he has, you know. Sector 2, we've got a problem, and I think it's Quintai. Quintai's had a problem, so I don't know what it is for Quintai, but it certainly looks as though his brilliant run, and it has been a brilliant run in the Adonis, he's dropped a long way back.
Unforced error, he's on his own, he's chasing the guys ahead of him, and he's just spun exactly where Sapala did. He's, I think he's put a wheel on the grass, exactly the same as Sapala, but he's managed to catch it, get it through the corner, like quite a nice, impressive 180. But yeah, he has to wait for the field to go through.
Gobby's pitted. Okay, so I was just about to say at that point that Fabrizio Gobbi, this rather aggressive strategy from him, I don't think it's worked out in his favour because he's not pulled away enough from Colin Spork. He was only 3.4 seconds ahead at the pit stop. Now Fabrizio Gobbi goes on to the medium tyre, just gets out in front of Simoncic, and Simoncic is not going to rest easy. He's going to try for the overtake. He's got an opportunity, and he's going to go for it. Gobbi's got to keep Simoncic back here. He's not racing him for the victory, but he's got to keep track position to have any hope of leapfrogging Spork and Duval, and he has managed to do so. So that was well held there by Fabrizio Gobbi. Maybe we can have a look back at what happened to see Alessandro Quintai exit from the race, or certainly exit from that far end of the race. Right Kilk, by the way, who's just gone on to soft tyres, has just set the fastest first and second sectors of the race. So Right Kilk is about to give the Red Archer team the fastest lap of the race, which he does, a 1:22.6 for Right Kilk. So he's still proving what he's capable of. I'd quite like to see, though, what happened to Alessandro Quintai. He is showing up on the timing screen as 18th currently. But a big moment, unfortunately for him. And that has cost him any chance he would have had of a top 10 result.
Yeah, just like I said, he just got a wheel on the grass, where Zapata did earlier on in the 8-9 bit, and just popped it round. But a shame, but he'll live on to fight another day. Obviously, this isn't his main series, so I'm sure he'll be raring to go for Super League lights. But
look,
yeah,
we're about to see our first team orders here, because look, Ragusa getting out of the way of his teammate Gobbi, using the slipstream to good effect there. He let his teammate draft him down the straight, then got out of the way of the racing line so that the team could maximise the chance to get Fabrizio Gobbi into clean air. They know he's fighting for the victory and Ragusa isn't, and that was very good tactical strategy there from the GSR VBM team, because they knew that Ragusa wasn't going to be in the hunt for the podium. Gobbi is more than in the hunt for it. He's in the hunt for the victory itself. So he pulled off the line there, Ragusa, used the chance to give Gobbi a tow, which he took open-handed, then had plenty of space to go for the move into turn one, and got the job done even before they reached the breaking point. So good tactics there from the team, but it definitely gives Fabrizio Gobbi a fighting chance now to get the upper hand over Spork and Dewal. I think we might have been able to have a look now and see what happened with Quintai. So, okay, so I think Alessandro Quintai actually had a pit stop, we're being told. So it wasn't an incident for him, it was actually a pit stop. But maybe he had a spin just before that, because we certainly had the yellow flags, or certainly there was a yellow flag incident. Maybe it was just coincidence that it just happened to be him pitting at the right time. Someone else maybe getting a movement off the line. Certainly Quintai has now made a pit stop and dropped to 18th position. So I don't know if there was...
yeah, I imagine Quintai would, yeah, so he did spin, and he probably would have destroyed his tyres there. So, yeah, pit stop's probably the most sensible thing to do. He's still got a chance of points in this race, so we'll see what to do. But yeah, Gobbi, yeah, getting past Ragusa, that's one thing. He's now got to get past David Fidok, and I'm telling you, Fidok's not going to put as much of a give him a path through, is he? I mean, Fidok, like you said, great race so far, 8th place on the medium tyre. He's got to go into the soft jet. Yeah, he's not going to let Gobbi pass soon, and this is very, very crucial actually now. So if he loses time behind Fidok, how quickly are Colin and Liam going to be able to get an overcut? Like I said, 3.5 seconds before he appeared. Going to be a lot big ask, but then like I said, if they go into the softs again at the end, Gobbi's going to be under a lot of pressure.
Indeed, David Fidok is no pushover. We've just seen a pit stop on the inset for the man in 16th position now. That's Yannick Bock, who made the pit stop, and he's gone on to soft tyres. Now that's crucial, because Yannick Bock is trying to do a rather aggressive strategy. I think he might have 2 more pit stops in the can than Yannick Bock, but his kind of pace, and he's gone into reasonable clean air, trying to catch up to Dan Stepkowski. So I think Yannick Bock could be about to light up the timing sheets. We'll keep an eye on it, but out in front, it is once again Spork versus Dewal, with Fabrizio Gobbi now in 9th place trying to chase down David Fidok, but Gobbi is now finally on the medium tyre. Question, Spork and Dewal, do they go medium for their last stint? Oh, there's been an incident.
Sorry, not an instant, but Simoncic really fighting with Ragusa. It's such an aggressive move over the inside. Didn't quite make it stick, but goodness me. Simoncic feeling racy on Ragusa now. Simoncic obviously having seen Gobi get through, has been catching Ragusa lap by lap by lap. Now, right on the back. Sorry to cut off you, but yeah, quite looking very racy is Mr. Simoncic.
I'll never have a complaint about Simoncic going for a move or two to spice up the show. Ragusa in P10. And Simoncic really starting to nail him through these apexes. He might get an opportunity at the next DRS point, which admittedly is still a good 15 to 20 seconds down the road. But Simoncic putting a lot of pressure onto Giuseppe Ragusa. And now Ragusa is playing the team game again. This time, he's trying to keep the fast Jonic Simoncic behind him and keep him at bay, because he doesn't want Simoncic to get anywhere near close to Gobi, even though they're on completely different strategies, because he wants to give his teammate the best chance of moving forward. It's all about the team game in this sport, in particular this one, because obviously you do an awful lot of work for yourself. You're also wanting to give the constructor a good run, and at the moment the GSR VBMs, it's not been the most dominant they've ever been, but they're certainly looking for solid points in the opening round of the championship, and that is no lean achievement. So it's Spork and De Waal, 7/10 of a second apart. Into the pits comes Stefan Rualt. So here we go, the next round of pit stops, and in comes Ragusa.
That's interesting. So Raul's going on to mediums again, so I'm expecting him to probably go towards the end on that set of tyres. Ragusa as well. He had a lot of Simoncic on him, but he's decided to get away with these tyres. What's he going to pop onto as he gets into his box? Yep, goes onto another set of medium tyres. I was just going to say, actually, obviously Gobi now into 8th, obviously behind Farlock now in 7th. Gobi's not been catching Farlock as quick as I expected. Obviously fresh tyres, same compound now, but yeah, considering the tyre difference in terms of wear, I thought Gobi would have really walked up to Farlock. But Farlock, to his credit, has not only kept him at bay, but kept him at bay quite easily as well.
And that's a fair point, actually, because Liam De Waal in second place is actually lapping quicker than Gobi. So Gobi is not able to get the pace he needs from this set of tyres. And here is David Fidek. What is their pace like in terms of the comparable lap times? There's only a 10th of a second in it at the moment, so that's not enough of an advantage for Gobi to really think about slicing it up the inside of Fidek easily. He's really going to have to go for it. And David Fidek is making a good race of this in 7th position. He could well get a top 6 finish to start the season without any problems at all. Gobi is going to have to work hard and pull something out of his sleeve here, because the rabbit is no longer in the hat. He's got to really push for something superb and stupendous, and David Fidek is not going to be a man who can make it easy for him.
Well, Spork and Bok are in. We're going to be able to interview powered by RSR's Ryan Elliott in about a minute or so, so I'll drag him in.
Spork and Bok in the pit.
Spork and Bok in the pits.
Into the pits together. So Leon Bok and the former race leader Colin Spork now in the pit lane, and that's definitely going to be a brilliant opportunity for something special, as Liam De Waal is going to have to try and push to make his way through. This is going to be a critical point of the race, Tom.
It is, and now Liam, like I said, he's got those fresher tyres. He's just set a personal best actually, 23.841. So now Spork, he's come out about 2.5 seconds behind, so he has made a bit of gains on Gobi, but yeah, now Liam De Waal, this is his time. Can he push, and can he make a difference?
So as the battle continues on its way, we're going to see if Liam De Waal is going to find some speed. Yes, he's going faster in the first and second splits at the moment in time. 123.841. His best lap of the race was last lap around. So this is a chance for De Waal. He knows this is his opportunity to pounce on Spork and try and get him on the undercut. Is he going to pit this lap? Because that's the critical moment. We've got a yellow in the sector. So someone having a moment there, trying to make out who it is. I think it's... is that Whitehouse again having an incident? No, it's... who have we got dropping down the order? I think that's Federico Russo, who's had a moment. So Russo dropping down the order.
Yeah, he hasn't got a front wing. So that might not be good. He was doing a great job, actually. I think he's just pitted, because he was doing a great job, actually, up in about 14th, 13th. So shame to see him down below. Like I said, we've got Ryan Elliott in the commentary box with us, powered by RSR's team owner. And I think you're having a pretty good debut, Ryan. Vak in 10th, and Stepkowski doing a great job as well in the just on the fringes of the points. How's your race gone so far?
Yeah, not bad. If you said to me before the round we'd be both currently in the points, I would have been over the moon. So we just gotta keep up that form, keep going forward. It's been a great debut so far. It's been a great first race so far. It's really exciting, especially at the front.
And of course, this is one of the toughest parts of the race as well, when the tyre strategy is really coming into its own, and the drivers are starting to gain a little bit of confidence in the end of the race. I mean, do you think this is the maximum from the team, or is there more still to come in these closing stages?
Well, absolutely, like you say about different compounds, etc. We've gone for the hard option, so we're going for a bit more of a longer run. Hopefully we can skip a stop. Working for us currently, but we don't know how it's going to end up by come the end of the race.
Fair play. Fascinating stuff. Ryan, thank you for grabbing a quick word for us. We know that we're right in the middle of a pit stop phase, so we'll let you guys crack on. Hopefully we'll see you guys at the finish in a very strong position.
No bother, thank you for having me.
Cheers, Ryan. Well, Tom, this is getting pretty tasty up towards the front. De Waal has not pitted yet for that second time, so he is continuing on. Maciej Mlanek has dived into the pit, so that now leaves Laurent Kiemaz-Makers into second position. Eros Mashoudi is now third. David Fidek and Fabrizio Gobbi are about to move into the top 5. As out onto the circuit now goes Maciej Mlanek. Is he going to rejoin in the top 10? Just about. He rejoins not far away from Stefan Rualt, actually. So he's still matching him in terms of his stints at the moment.
Absolutely. You go back to Fidek and Gobbi. Liam de Waal, not lap just gone, but one before, he was 1 second faster than Fidek and Gobbi. So Liam de Waal is trying his hardest to make this overcut work. Fidek, to his credit, isn't far off Liam's pace. He's half a second off in that lap round. Obviously, Liam's out front doing what he needs to do. But Fidek, really strong pace at this phase of the race. Colin Spork, a 23.1 on those fresh tyres as well. So he's going to be right on the back of Gobbi very soon. Fidek is doing Liam de Waal an absolute world of good here.
He certainly is. Oh, big mistake from Gobbi. A big mistake there as he tries to get close into the blind spot of Fidek. Spork is going to get right up close behind Gobbi. So this is exactly what Spork wanted, and Gobbi didn't. But I think De Waal on a decent lap at the moment, and certainly looking like another good one coming up this way. I think he's got a chance to leapfrog both Gobbi and Spork. This is a nightmare scenario for the Italian and the Dutchman. For the race leader, Liam de Waal, this is the chance to win the Grand Prix. So here is another opportunity for Gobbi. He's got to try and get past Fidek this time. Fidek won't give him any easy opportunities, but he storms by. Gobbi gets through. Now this is a crucial opportunity for Spork, and Spork needs to take this. Fidek is in his own race. He doesn't care what these guys are up to. He's got a chance of his own to make a decent podium of it. And look at Spork. He's held up as he tries to get one over on Fidek. What a thrilling opportunity this is for Liam de Waal up front.
I think we're going to see Liam come in this lap. He made a second on Fidek that time by. Liam's going to come in. I bet he's going to go on to soft tyres as well. He'd have 18 laps to do on those softs, which at this point, obviously, a little bit less fuel as well. It's going to be a lot easier to make those tyres last. So I think we could be seeing Liam come in very, very shortly as well. Gobbi now is clear. He's got to try and make this gap work. But Spork needs to get past Fidek as soon as he can. Fidek on for about a top, maybe even a top 6 finish at this point here. He's going to go up the inside, surely not into the chicane. He does make a move. Fidek, very sensible. Well done, Spork.
Goodness, what a move from Colin Spork. Take a bow. That is one heck of a place to try an overtaking move. Never mind complete it. And Colin Spork, absolutely desperate to win this race, knows that there's fewer and fewer opportunities coming. Goodness me, that really is licking the stamp and sending it in fine style through turn 11. I mean, you've got to have nerves of steel to pull that one off. And Colin Spork makes it look like child's play as Laurent Kiemaz-Makers goes into the pits and leaves the top 3 out on their own. Now, the gap between De Waal and Gobbi is 19.1.
Yeah, Vark in as well on those hard tyres. Obviously, you haven't just spoken to Ryan, so we're expecting him. Yeah, he's onto the soft tyres. So Vark obviously thinks soft tyres will make it at this point. This means that when Liam de Waal does come in, I am fully expecting him and Fidek as well, when Fidek comes in a few laps time, to go onto the soft compound tyre. That is going to be absolutely key. There's a gap of 20 seconds at the moment between the two, Liam and Fabrizio. So Fabrizio, 22.8 last lap, 23.3 from Liam last lap as well. So Liam now starting to lose the time to Gobbi. Now Gobbi's in free air.
Well, Fidek's going to drop to about 9th or 10th position, but if he can make those soft tyres work, as you say, he still has time to get into the top 6, maybe. He just about has an opportunity in the closing 17 laps. If he gets the moves right, he could get his way up as far as Mlanek in 7th, possibly even Rualt in 6th. So it's critical as we come to the closing stages. Liam de Waal is in the pits. Here we go. It's time to see who's going to win the Australian Grand Prix pit stop phase.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see Fabrizio and Colin come out ahead. Liam now, like I said, this is absolutely key. And like I thought, onto these soft compound tyres, so fast obviously will be 100%. No happy days. Fabrizio Gobbi, always, he's only just coming past now. So like I said, he's gonna pass him. But Liam is not far past. In fact, he's going to jump Spork. Huge for him. Liam's now jumped Colin in his thing. Colin's going to have a move. Oh, he's made a mistake. Made a mistake coming out of 1 onto 2. He's got to try and get past him. But if Liam can hold this off, Liam is in a great position. Colin's actually, funny enough, just at the fastest lap of the race, but Liam holds him off. Great move though from Liam, getting just a car width. And Colin now hasn't made that work. And now Farlick down as well into 11th place from the pits. Coming out into a nice clear 11th place, Farlick into 11th. But yes, massive point now. Liam has got a 3-second gap to make up on Fabrizio Gobbi. Can he do it? I'm pretty sure he can.
He's certainly got fresher tyres and faster tyres. Liam de Waal pulling off the move of the race to keep in front of Colin Spork, the man who just set the fastest lap of the race as well. So that was always going to be difficult for Liam de Waal to keep the motivated young Dutchman at bay. So Liam de Waal now finds himself in second position on fresher, faster tyres and with plenty of time to catch up to Fabrizio Gobbi. And in the second split, they are matching each other for pace as de Waal is trying to get those tyres up to speed. Now, Yannick Bock has made his last pit stop. He's on soft tyres and he's catching Jenic Simoncic, who is on the mediums. This could be a nail-biting battle too.
Yeah, I mean, they were battling earlier on in the race as well, weren't they? Now they're battling for 9th and 10th rather than 12th and 13th. But two of the fastest drivers in the league on their day. Like I said, it's a bit odd to see them down further so far down. But yeah, good to see that they're battling all the way through the race.
So now it's going to be very, very tough indeed to see how this race is going to play out, because Liam de Waal has all the cards, but he still needs to find the speed. 0.3 of a second quicker in the third sector. So here we go. Liam de Waal may have caught the call right, but Fabrizio Gobbi needs to be the most defensive man in the GPVWC Super League Championship. He's really got to keep this lead, and it's not going to be easy to keep a motivated Liam de Waal back, because he's got faster tyres, he's got fresher tyres, but this is a circuit that doesn't lend itself to the most opportunistic overtaking moves. De Waal has got to play patient here. He's got time, he's definitely got speed, and he's going to be right on the back wing of Gobbi's car within a matter of laps. Probably a couple of laps is all it's going to take him to be there, but he's going to have a lot of opportunities, a lot of time, and a lot of laps to get through. The one thing Liam de Waal cannot afford to do is rush in and hope that it's going to stick. He needs to know that the move is going to happen. He might want to wait a few laps, actually, because Gobbi and Spork's tyres are going to wear quite a lot quicker, but at a slower rate. So de Waal has got to try and balance fast wear with absolutely fantastic opportunity.
Yeah, and, well, we know it can be done because Gobbi overtook Liam, didn't he? So we know it can be done. So he's just got to try and pick a spot nicely where it happens. Another battle that's going to be developing soon. Leon Bock, 4th place. Ruel and Maciej Blajnek have been catching him up hand over fist the last few laps. Now Leon looks like he's struggling in the latter part of this race. Ruel now on the back of him in DRS. So we could be seeing a battle for 4th place between these two very shortly. Like I said, with Blajnek not too far behind.
So David Fidek did indeed make his pit stop. He has dropped back to 11th position. That's probably a little lower than he would have liked, actually. He could have done with jumping the likes of Simoncic and Bock. So he's a good 4 seconds behind them on the road. That's not perfect from his point of view. But look how quickly de Waal is reining in Gobbi. He's catching him even quicker than I thought he was going to. That just gives you such an indication of the difference between a few laps on the medium and a fresh, spanking brand new pair of the softs. And there's just so much more confidence, so much more speed, a lot of grip, and an awful lot of conviction behind the wheel for Liam de Waal as he just eats the road in front of him. Gobbi is going to have absolutely no answer for him at turn 1, the way that de Waal is catching him. I think this could be easier to just go for it as far as Liam de Waal is concerned. He's got so much speed and so much raw pace. He's going to have the DRS open out of the turn. Can he make use of it? He is a little way back, but this could be the race-winning move. He is a little too far back for me. He just needs to get a little bit closer, Tom.
Yeah, I wonder if he's going to try and set up into 3, but he hasn't, like, again, not quite close enough. But you saw there, and if you're on board, in the third final corner, you saw how much the dirty air of Gobbi actually affected Liam. Now, look how much later he can brake. It's unbelievable. But yeah, Liam was getting really quite affected by the dirty air here. And you can get to within about half a second, and after that, his car just understeers off. And it's quite evident there that you just saw it there in the last lap. So Liam's going to try and pick his moment nicely. In the, funny enough, in the fast chicane now, I saw the lap before, he was mega flying through that corner. So Liam's going to try, I think he's going to try and set up for that corner there. Look how close he is now. He's going to try and get a good run out of the 11-12 chicane and try and get a move into 13.
He might do it before then. He might go for the same move that Spork did. Here he goes. He is going to try and have a look. He thinks better of it. Out of 12, and he's lost a little bit of momentum. He's going to get the DRS, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to slingshot up the inside of 13. The thing is this is exactly what I was saying. He's got time. He can't afford to just banzai and hope. He'll follow in behind in these next 2 or 3 corners. He needs to set up the final turn. That's where he's going to have his best shot, because he can take advantage of the fact that Gobby isn't going to get DRS in the second zone. They come off the turn, and again, he's not quite close enough. He can't quite knit this final sector together, but he's got so much raw speed down the straight. He could just slingshot this up the inside again. He thinks better of it. He actually drifts onto the grass nearly. Liam, you can't afford to throw this away now.
Yeah, I think he's trying to set up the turn 3 overtake, isn't he? But it's not quite working. Dobby's seems to have quite a good exit out of turn 2 every lap. So Liam's going to learn that every lap he's going to be learning where's Gobby good, what can he do, what mistakes is he making, is he going wide at a corner, is he braking a bit earlier at certain corners. So Liam's just a learning lesson from him at the moment. He's still, like I said, he's still got a tyre advantage both wear and compound. So he's got, I mean, look at this second sector as well. Liam seems to be really strong. Is he going to try and sling up the inside here? That'd be
Oh, he is!
I tried down Formula Challenge and it didn't work. I'm telling you, so it ain't going to work in here, Liam. But yeah, I think he's going to try and sit out and find this chicane. He's just letting Fabrizio know he's there, and here he goes again. Going to show the nose. Decides no, I'm not going to go for it. He's going to try and get the exit. Gobby overcommits a little bit, but he gets it turned in quite nicely for the second apex. Liam again, not quite close enough.
So the problem is you just can't follow that closely through 11 and 12. He could easily slingshot up the inside of 13 on pure straight line speed, but he can't follow Gobby's car that closely because the dirty air just washes out the front. So he's got to be so calculated, so precise. This is better from De Waal, but he has to get the final turn right. This is so much stronger now from the Dutchman. Surely this is it. And Gobby senses that this is it as well. He moves across. He's trying to put the car in the middle of the course. De Waal is going to convict for it. They nearly bang wheels. They do bang wheels. And De Waal is not going to concede. They both go up the circuit. And Sport comes around the outside. Sport gets in a second position. Brilliant racing.
Yeah, Liam, I thought he was going to go to the outside. I was thinking to myself, right, Liam's going to go to the outside, set up turn 3, but no, he does dive up the inside. Yannick Bock in for another stop as he goes down to P11. But yeah, Liam, I was very surprised he went up the inside there. He may have picked up a little bit of damage, but Spork now goes into second place, overtaking Gobby. That may get not penalised, they may get protest at the end of the race. Gobby may feel that Liam was a bit harsh. I mean, they both did go off the track, there was a bit of contact. So, but yeah, Liam at the moment in the lead and will be now trying to pull away.
That just shows you the desperation and the hunger and desire to win the race. Both drivers absolutely giving it everything on the inside of turn 1. I would love to see that again, and I think we need to from a couple of angles because it was hard to tell whether or not there was actually a little bit of contact between the two drivers in terms of the rubbing of wheels up the inside line. So we would love to see how that one played out with a little bit more detail, and I'm sure our broadcast director Argo Teder is already on it as we look to see if Spork is actually going to get a chance here on De Waal. Because, of course, if there was a little bit of contact, if there was a little bit of damage for De Waal, we know that he's already been struggling in the dirty air. Did he push the tyres so hard that now he's going to have to potentially nurse a slightly worn tyre? Spork, if he's looked after this set of mediums, he could still win this one very easily indeed, Tom.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No question. He can still win this race. This lap's going to be key to see how Liam is in fresh air with these tyres. I mean, likely he may have taken a little bit out of them, got a tiny bit of damage. Gobby was the first one to pit out of these 3, so his tyres are going to be the oldest. Now he's in third. You can see damaged well. He is slipping away from Spork and De Waal. But yeah, Collins has got to try and keep within that DRS zone, see if he can try and nurse the tyre, see if Liam pushed him too hard. But hard now, it's going to be hard. But I mean, Spork can do it. We've seen him do it last year multiple times. So it's quite a key last 11 laps we've got here.
Let's look back. Let's see the moment. De Waal versus Gobby into turn 1. This is where the race could well have been won and lost. We see a great charge from De Waal. Gobby makes him go to the inside. Look, there's contact there. And I think there's going to be a second point of contact as well as we get down into the braking zone. Gobby leaving the smallest gap in history, but he has left space. De Waal commits to the inside line. Gobby's trying to turn. Look, he's turning across there to get the move to the inside line to hold him at bay. There's definitely contact between the two. De Waal has obviously got a little bit of a vibration there as a result, and they connect again. So that's 3 points of contact, both drivers going off. Spork was so lucky that he didn't connect with Gobby on the way out of the corner, but that's 1, 2, 3 points of contact there between De Waal and Gobby. Tom, you were saying that there could be a protest. I think there's an interesting argument to come. Look at it again as they come through. Look, there's wheel banging there initially. A little wheel bang there, then a second, then a third.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if Gobby doesn't at least protest it. Whether or not a penalty would come of it, I don't know. I mean, Gobby did come back onto the track. I suppose he couldn't really do too much there. Sport was coming, but yeah, and that's it's quite a close one to call. I wouldn't want to call it here in the box, but yeah, it's going to be, like I said, they've had history before these two as well, so it's going to be a bit of a content argument. And I mean, if Colin didn't have to slow down there to try and avoid Gobby, he may have even had a chance at Liam. So yeah, it's one of those things. It's look, I don't really want to make a comment on my opinion. Obviously, is what it is, unbiased as possible. But yeah, that's going to be one that's definitely going to the stewards, I think.
Yes, indeed. Thank goodness we're only commentators, not race stewards and officials. I would not want anything. I washed my hands of it already to do with that one. But we have got 10 laps to go. Oh, a proper squiggle there from Leon Bock. And that just shows you how much pressure he's under from Stefan Rualt, who's finally going to get a little bit of a moment in the sunshine here. If Leon Bock is struggling to keep that car in a straight line, Rualt may get a run on him up towards turn 3. He's not close enough yet to get the run into turn 1. He can use the DRS to get close enough, and he might get his opportunity. Colin Spork goes fastest of all in the first split on that lap, but Liam Dewar was 0.7 of a second faster than him overall across the lap. So Dewar definitely starting to extend to 2 seconds clear of Spork. That could be the race win done, but is there going to be an interesting discussion after the race from GSR VBM about just how aggressive Liam Dewar was into the first corner? From what I could see, he was a racing driver going for an overtaking move. There was space. He utilised it. Both drivers were not prepared to concede. They banged wheels. They both went off the circuit. For me, it's a racing incident. I don't really see that either driver can really be thrown the book at there for being racing drivers.
No, you're right. Comments as well, obviously saying there's a bit of both as well. Some leaning towards Gobby, some leaning towards Zaval. But yeah, it's going to be natural. Obviously, everyone has their own opinion. So obviously, I think the stewards will be told about this incident and obviously made to look at it. But
I think for me, that's a racing incident. I mean, two drivers are obviously fighting for the lead. What do you want? You want one guy to move over and give the corner? No, it's never going to happen. And they both gave as good as they got. They both were aggressive. They were both defensive at various points into the apex. And what happened, happened. I don't think either driver can be called malicious there. I certainly don't think either driver could be called reckless. You know, they're racing drivers racing for the victory. Spork was very unlucky not to get the lead from them both, but I think all three drivers have acquitted themselves very adequately and very admirably.
Yeah, like I said, it's happened now. It's what it is. The result is what it is. We've still got 7 laps. You never know what's going to happen at the end. But we move on, as it were. Like I said, Leon Bock and Rural fighting over 4th and 5th. Matching Lilac catching up to them very slowly, but very much surely. And good battle, as you can see on your screen, for 8th place, Aris Mashuli and Yanni Simičić. Simičić also been making his way up slowly but surely.
I think Simičić is going to be ultimately very frustrated with this race because that grid penalty really did take him out of the running for a podium, and he could well have got one today based on his lap times. He hasn't quite had the same sort of raw lap pace as Fabrizio Gobbi, but then he's never been in a position to figure out whether he could have matched him. So Simičić obviously looking only for points from this race, but he has got a good opportunity here on Aris Mashuli. He was quicker than him in the first split just then, and now he's continuing that sort of pace. Yannick Bock, incidentally, is going faster than all of the drivers in the top 5. He's there in 13th now, obviously caught out because of his grid penalty as well. So problems for Yannick Bock, and he's going to try desperately to get into the top 10, but I think he's going to run out of time to do that because he's still got Ragusa and Rag, who are admittedly battling each other, but a good 13 seconds off the line. So it is going to be a very difficult situation for them. I'm not entirely sure that position is going to change hands. Spork is doing his best. The gap is 1.6. It was above 2 seconds. So is Dewal starting to struggle on these tyres, pushing so hard to get the move on Gobbi? And if the wheel's locked, is he nursing some severe wear to one of the tyres? In which case, Spork still has time and opportunity to take back the lead.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, still a few laps to go left. So, yeah, I mean, he could be, I mean, like I said, he's holding on quite well. I thought he wouldn't be able to hold on this well. But yeah, like I said, Liam's going to be coming towards that cliff we were talking about earlier. Not quite, I mean, I don't expect his tyres to drop off that badly. That is going to be in danger. But yeah, Collins, always, as long as he's within that 5-second gap, it means that Liam can't make a mistake and go off anywhere. Otherwise, you could see a change for the lead. But like I said, 6 laps to go. Looking pretty comfortable for Liam out there in front, a couple of seconds in the lead. Gobbi now dropped right off as well, and if anything, he's actually dropped back into the clutches of Leon, but don't think there'll be quite enough time here for him to catch him and overtake him.
And as I say that, Liam DeWaal goes fastest of all. Purple sectors in sector 1 and 2. So he clearly wants to wash my mouth out with soap and water. He's charging away from Colin Spork on this particular lap. And the gap is already up to 3 seconds. So DeWaal clearly saving a little bit in reserve in the closing stages. Just adding insult to injury for Colin Spork with a new fastest lap. Look at that. A 1:21.521 for Liam DeWaal according to the race view timing sheets. That's blistering pace at the end of the race. He was just keeping that back in reserve, and now it's pretty much a game over contest as far as DeWaal is concerned. But there is still time if Colin Spork can hold it together for a little bit longer. We're watching Simoncic on the main straight come through the first chicane and up towards turn 3. Simoncic has got Eros Mashuli on the run. He's not going to be able to make that one work though into turn 3. He's still a little too far back. But you were right about Fabrizio Gobbi falling potentially into the clutches of Leon Bock, because he's now 7 seconds back from Liam DeWaal. And Bock and Rualt are having their little tussle for 4th place. They could have a chance of a podium.
Yeah, it's like I said earlier, Gobbi was the first one to stop. Audi, so obviously he went onto the soft tyre for the second stint rather than the medium, so his tyre's going to be much older. Possibly nursing a bit of damage as well. It's probably going to be feel a bit aggrieved about the turn 1 incident with Liam. So yeah, Leon, I must admit, Leon's dropped off on me. He got absolutely done over, didn't he, in the first round of pit stops? He lost quite a lot of time behind, not lap traffic, but behind some traffic that hadn't stopped yet. So to have the chance for podium still is pretty impressive. Like I said, Rual and Linek there for any scraps that may occur towards the end. So still coming in for an exciting end to this race.
Considering this is a circuit that is not well known and well reputed for having an amazing quantity of overtaking spots on the circuit, we've certainly had a battle for the ages today here in GPVWC. A right humdinger, and what a way to start the 2021 season as well. That's exactly what you want. A 3-way contest where drivers really genuinely are getting their elbows out, pushing to the limit, and using a very aggressive stance, but also a very calculated one. And all 3 drivers have had their turn in the lead, and all 3 have had a chance to win the race. But Liam DeWaal really did save his A game until the bitter end, didn't he? Fantastic how he was able to jump the 2 cars, to jump Spork, in the first place. That was critical for him to get a chance of the victory. If he hadn't managed that, he'd still be there in 3rd place. We've got a problem for someone. We've got yellow out on the circuit somewhere. We've got one driver dropping back. Didn't quite see who it was, unfortunately, but certainly there was yellow flags out on one particular part of the course. But nobody's retired since Florian Gaia dropped out of the race about 25 laps ago. So we've still got 23 of the 28 starters remaining. Sadly, neither of the Cenobites out after Pedro Gomez blew his engine, and Amari Watson had nowhere to go once he'd come into contact with Right Kilk, who is still going. Germano Zappala, Christian Pascal, and Florian Gaia have all had incidents on the circuit where they picked up damage, and in each case, too severe to continue. Here's Leon Bock we're on board with. There's 4 laps to go, and that looks to me like Fabrizio Gobbi a lot closer than the Italian would like to be to him.
Yeah, Leon's been reeling him in quite a lot. 22.6 last lap from Leon, so he's definitely pushing pretty hard. On quite warm tyres as well, so doing a good job. He's bringing Rural with him as well. So yeah, 3-4-way battle for the final podium spot as well. There's a big battle for 11th as well, actually, and 8th place. 8th place between Simoncic and Masciuli, very, very tight going through the latter end of Sector 1, as well as Vuk and Ragusa. 11th Ragusa, 12th for Vuk as well. Vuk on the soft compound tyres compared to the mediums on Ragusa. So a lot of battles going on towards the end. We've got 4 laps to go.
I can tell you what the reason was for the yellow flag. It was Alessandro Quintai. He was battling it out with Right Kilk, and unfortunately, it was the Italian who came off worse. He's really going to feel disappointed about this one in the title-winning car from last year, and of course, he's in 19th position in this one, replacing world champion Adam Maguire. So he's going to feel bitterly cut up about the way this race has gone, but he has to take the positives from it. He was on pace in the early stages. He did put the car into the top 10 for the starting grid. How about this? As Leon Bock is swarming around all over the back of Fabrizio Gobbi. And again, he's got time to make this work. He's got 3 laps remaining, and Fabrizio Gobbi does not want to be battling to save a 3rd place finish. And he's got 3 cars in pursuit, not 2, because Leon Bock and Stefan Rualt are on his tail, and Maciej Mlinek is within firing distance.
Yeah, Gobbi's tires must have hit that cliff. He must have, like, that incident with Liam must have, maybe, like I said, maybe he locked a tyre and he's caught that front left. Does look very worn on Gobbi's car, actually.
Does,
so, going to be struggling, I think, for grip, and obviously more right-handers in than there are left. So, Gobby not looking too good on the front tyres, whilst Leon's are, they look a bit worn as well, but nowhere near as worn as, like I said, he's really close in rather alarmingly quickly, actually. Can Gobby pull off the defence to make sure that he keeps that podium spot? I think he can, but Leon's going to do everything he can to get his first podium in Super League.
Well, I'm aware we've got a replay for Quintai, but we've got this incredible duel for third position, and Leon Bock could be set to pounce any moment now, as we've got yellows in Sector 1. Not quite sure what the reason for that is, but certainly we've had an incident there of some kind. Well, let's have a look at the replay, because we're not going to get it was Panzer, we're told. Let's have a look at the replay, because we know it's not going to be for a couple of corners that the opportunity is going to come. This is Quintai, and this is where he lost out to right Kilk. And again, it's just the rear wheel that catches the white line with the grass over it, and he loses 4 places in the incident. So easy to get wrong. And that's just another incident in the catalogue of disasters as far as Quintai is concerned. Here comes another chance for Leon Bock, and Stefan Rualt is sensing an opportunity here as well. If Bock can't deliver, Rualt is ready to pounce for P4, but it's now or never for Leon Bock, and he knows it. And Fabrizio Gobbi's going to have to go ultra defensive to keep him back. No big banzai this lap, but next lap there's almost certainly going to be one. There might even be midway around this one, Tom.
Absolutely, yeah. Wopke Hoekstra making a very good point in the YouTube comments. High front wear behind Firedock. Obviously, Gobby stuck behind Firedock for quite a while, wasn't he?
Tom, we need to focus on something as well. De Waal's times have dropped dramatically. He is losing 0.2 of a second per sector to Colin Spork. The tyres may have just dropped off the cliff himself. So De Waal is not home and dry yet. The gap is down to 1.4 seconds to Spork, and Spork is reeling him in all the time. The victory may not even be sealed yet for De Waal.
You watch Liam go set at 120 now or something daft. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's the pressure, isn't it? It's all well and good having a gap, but you want to make sure you get to the end of the race in time. You never know, it might be a fuel issue as well. You don't know. But yeah, Liam starts his final lap now, but Leon's still swarming all over the pack of Gobby.
And Colin Spork has not given up. 1 lap to go here at Albert Park in Melbourne, Australia. The first round of the 2021 GPVWC Super League. First is being debated. Third is being debated. Rualt is trying to swarm around behind Leon Bock, as Bock is already sizing up an opportunity on Fabrizio Gobbi. Turn 1, turn 2. They go back down to the next straight, and DRS is open, certainly for Bock and for Rualt. And this is the one chance that Bock might get. He's getting close, but he's not close enough. He needs to wait a little bit longer. Gobbi's struggling for grip on the inside line. He's got to blend out of the corner and get grip on the exit. Now he nails the apex. This is good work from Gobbi, where he's flailing around in third position, trying desperately to get something out of the car. Meanwhile, Spork is throwing everything he can at De Waal, and I just think he's going to run out of time. He needs something drastic to happen for De Waal. Rualt is going to try and make his own bid on Leon Bock. That's not going to work. So Leon Bock has one final crack at the man in front of him, Fabrizio Gobbi. This is going to be a nail-biting finish to this race, but for the man up front, Liam De Waal is just about going to hang on. It's been aggressive, it's been versatile, and it's been incredibly intuitive, but Liam De Waal has made this race come to him and the Adonis Engineering team. There is a mistake in Sector 1, but out of the final turn, it's going to be a victory in the first round of 2021 Super League. Liam De Waal wins the Australian Grand Prix in front of Colin Spork. What a battle, as to the line it's going to be between Gobbi and Bock, and I think Gobbi's just going to hang on to it for third position. He does indeed, but he will be bitterly frustrated. Victory could have been his today. Leon Bock, Stefan Rualt, Matthew Mlinek and Lauren Kiersmakers within firing distance of a podium after it all. What an opener to the season, Tom. What a sizzler.
Yeah, Liam did everything he needed to do. Like I said, he bided his time, went for the move, made it stick under obviously controversial circumstances. But yeah, Liam won, and Liam did it. His first win in Melbourne in Super League, his first win of the season. He's going to be leading the championship. I believe he got fastest lap as well, so that'd be a full 26 points out of 26 he could have scored. There was a last lap incident between Whitehouse and Lucchini going down towards turn 3, coming out of turn 2. So a couple of shame down there towards the back, but yeah, good race overall. Clean for most parts, but yeah, very fun to see the strategies play out and Liam come out on top.
And we certainly got the race for victory that we wanted, as Right Kilk takes the final point. But what an absolutely incredible start to the 2021 Super League season, as the last few stragglers come home. 23 of the 28 starters complete the race distance. And while I have to say, what a way to return to Super League. I knew it was always the highest caliber of R Factor 2 Grand Prix racing, but you never realize just how much you miss it until you return. And it is absolutely the perfect way to start the season. What a race, what a battle. And we had some worthy drivers up the front. Liam De Waal takes the victory from Colin Spork and Fabrizio Gobbi. Leon Bock in P4 from Stefan Rualt and Maciej Mlinek. Lauren Kuzmak is ahead of Eros Mashuli, Jonic Simicic, and David Fidek, who rounds out the top 10. The final point scorers are Giuseppe Ragusa, Thomas Wack, Janik Bock, Matthias Mus, and Wright Kilk, who gets 15th position to complete a solid day in the points for Red Archer. Then just behind, it is Daniel Stepkowski, Alessandro Quintai, who'll be very disappointed with P17, Mirko Lucchini and George Whitehouse battling to the end, and Federico Russo coming home in 20th position. 21st, Giuseppe Lino in front of Jacob Reed for Scuderia Basilia. And then the retirements after Robin Panzar. We had Florian Gaia, Christian Pascal, and Germano Zappala all dropped it, and Pedro Gomez's engine failure caught out his teammate Amari Watson, and the Cenobites bit the dust at the same point on the circuit. What a sensational start to this 2021 GPVWC Super League season, Tom. It's the perfect race to kick off a thrilling year.
Yeah, still had a few overtakes. Obviously, this track notorious for overtaking, but still had quite a few battles going on up and down the field. Fidek very close to Sermonic at the end, actually, in the battle for 8th, 9th, and 10th between himself and Mashili. Fidek just missing out by less than a 10th. But, yeah, what a race. I mean, like I said, lots of retirements. Obviously, a lot of them. Like I said, the Gomez and Watson one, very, very unfortunate. Kilk actually doing a great job to get back into the points, actually, after that start. So, good stuff from him. But yeah, like I said, everything you wanted, and I believe we're about to pull in Liam De Waal for an interview, the race winner.
Well, what an absolutely sensational performance it has been in one of the toughest circumstances. Liam De Waal, winner of the Australian Grand Prix 2021 in GPVWC Super League. I tell you what, Liam, you had us on the edge of our seat right from lap one. That was so exhausting to watch. I bet it was even more exerting to go through. Just talk us through the race from your perspective.
So at the start, I tried to get a decent start, but like I tried to really preserve my rear tires because I really already planned to do the overcut from the start. The start was perfect because I was P2 and I didn't really want to lead in the first stint because you don't get the DRS advantage, and I really wanted to preserve my tires, which worked out. But I think Colin, his pace dropped a bit too much. Because a few behind me pitted, so I wanted to pick up the pace, but I couldn't pass him. It was very hard to pass. So the overcut then didn't work, and then the second stint I tried the overcut again, and I was like a second per lap quicker than before. So it worked out just barely, and then afterwards had to make the move on Gobbi. Well, he fought hard, but I don't know what happened. I don't think I did anything wrong, but he ended up in the gravel. And I got him, and then it was just cruising to the line. I was scared of my engine because, I didn't really know for sure it was going to last. So that's why I did boost 2 at the end and a lot of short shifting. And then I saw Colin coming close. I was like, oh, God. So I had to put boost 3 again. So in the end, it was easier than my previous victory in Sochi, but still had to fight for it.
Fantastic. Well, it's been a fabulous race from your point of view. Tom, I'm sure you've got one final word for Liam.
I bet you regret that quote you put the other day, didn't you?
That's bad now.
No, actually, I was going to say, obviously, you come out after the first stop behind the other two guys. Were you worried that you may not get past, or did you always think once Gobbi was on that second soft stint, in the second stint, did you always think, nah, this is a good chance of me winning this race, or were you panicky a little bit?
I was a tiny bit panicky because I thought, Colin has the tire advantage. Well, not the tire advantage, but rather the track position. And I was like, if I don't get the overcut the second time, I'll have to pass him on track. And I realized how hard it was. I knew he was going to go for medium because he pitted too early to do the softs at the end. But still, I wasn't sure if I was going to pass. And it was very nice that I got the overcut in the second stop. Otherwise, I think we might have seen Colin win. But great job by him. He's so young and he's shown amazing stuff. I'm sure he's going to do a lot of great stuff in the future. And well, this is already great. So congratulations to him and also to Gobbi, because he also did a really good job to make those mediums last. I don't know how many laps, but I wouldn't have been able to do that. So congrats to those guys as well.
Sensational. What a start to the year. Liam De Waal, the winner of the Australian Grand Prix 2021 in GPVWC Super League. Congrats, buddy. Great job.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
What an absolute thriller of a race. Hopefully we will get the chance to speak to our drivers in second and third position as well, our sensational superstars. While we're waiting for them, Tom, a quick question to you. It's the hardest question of the race as well. Driver of the day. There are so many candidates.
Yeah, I mean, the top three, all of them have got an argument for it. Liam, I'll probably have to give it to Liam. I mean, he controlled the race, didn't he? I mean, like you said, he was panicking a little bit, but then I think, yeah, once he got that overcut done, he managed his tyres perfectly. That second stint of him was crucial. Him going a little bit longer in stint 1, making those tyres last in stint 2, getting the overcut, and it won him the race. Like, that overcut won him the race. So I'm gonna have to go with Liam.
Yeah, do you know what it was? It was incredibly controlled. It was smooth, and it was very, very disciplined all the way through, because he clearly had this edge to him all the way through the race, where second and third would do at that point, because he was building up for his big moment. And there were some times when the man who's in the broadcast room with us was actually giving the leaders a bit of a hard time. David Fidek, some undercut and overcut strategy from you to really showcase what you can still do, but you really did give the leaders a bit of a headache at various points in the race. Was that a reminder to everybody that, you know, in the right circumstances, you have still got all of the speed you had?
Oh, I miss you, Jake.
I love putting a good spin on things. You know I do. Talk us through the race.
Yeah, first off, nice to be back. Nice to have you guys back in the commentary booth. Yeah, we was just saying to the guys rounding up our race in the whatever you call it, meeting, that my personal best quality would have put me P3 on the grid. But it's my usual story of choking, if you like, during quali. I was on a lap 2/10 up on my PB, but yeah, I got too excited looking at the sector times going into the last sector and looked up. But yeah, race was all right. Sadly, turn 1 and 2 at the start, I put myself in 2 bad positions and pinned in. So I had to go very slow while people were braking late down the outside and overtaking. And I got a tap from someone which made the suspension blue, but I don't think that affected the car. Yeah, the plan was a free stop from the start, but then we pitted 3 laps later than we should have on the first stint, thinking we had the gap to the guys that already pitted. And then my second stint, I wasn't actually pushing hard enough. So yeah, I think if we had the clean air, top 5 would have been on the cards. If I got my quali right and the clean race podium, I don't think I could have matched Liam, to be honest. He was really quick. But yeah, I mean, considering this is the worst track of the season for me, this is kind of my bogey circuit, then I'm kind of happy with the pace I had. Not the result, but the pace anyway.
Well, let's hope that round 2 gives you more of the results that you desire, David. It's been great to see you back out fighting tooth and nail for Apex after Apex. See you again next time. Thank you so much for joining us.
Cheers, and thanks for the interview, because I think my parents were waiting and they would have been upset if you didn't do it. So.
Cheers. No worries at all, David. Happy to keep people smiling. Let's grab a word with the young gun who has just brought it home in a thrilling second position. Colin Spork. Colin, if anybody was doubtful as to what kind of pace you could bring in at the start of the season, I think they all need to shut up now. That was amazing stuff. Controlling the race in the early stages. Just how did that race play out from your perspective? Are you satisfied with the result?
Yeah, hi guys. Yeah, well, 50-50 I would say, because when you start on pole, of course, the only thing to do is to win. But I can't complain about P2 in like the first official season in Superleague. And well, the race was pretty good. Start was just pretty good, and then managed the tires. Liam was very quick, so it was pretty tough to stay in front of him. But when I got into the mediums, I was very, very confident. Only thing was that David Fidek was still in front of me, because he did like the overcut, because he was an alternative strategy, and I got kind of stuck behind him. I was quite aggressive to get past him, because that's what I needed to do. But he was defending, so that's quite annoying, because he lost a few seconds because of that. But of course he has every way to do so. But in the end, like 9/10 behind. I would say the Melbourne God, looking at a few years back, and still now. So I can't complain.
Tom, the one final question for this superb Charger, who's definitely going to give us a show this year.
Yeah, like I said, Colin, you've got, Liam has said it before as well, you've got so much more room to improve. Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's a bit disappointed, but do you now have the confidence to go on and potentially win races this season? Do you think maybe even an outside chance of maybe some like title action? Or do you think maybe that's a bit too soon to say so far?
Don't think anything is too soon. I will work hard for it and see where I'll end up, but I'm not looking to step back from this P2.
Good man, well done. Like I said, well done again today. Great race. Very mature beyond your years, so well done.
Thank you, guys.
Excellent racing, and I'm sure we're going to see a few more of those fantastic, sizzling title battles over the course of 2021. No sign as yet in the interview room of Fabrizio Gobbi, but if we are not able to hear from him, I'm sure we'll get the opportunity at some point over the course of the season. Tom Parker, a quick roundup then of the race action. The early stages, we had 3 or 4 potential winners, certainly a 3-way fight come the end of the second stint. But it's a wonderful way to start the season when you are not sure who's going to get the victory, but 3 men are definitely giving it everything they've got to make it happen.
Yeah, and not only that, you've got to think Simoncic, grid penalty, Yannick Bock, grid penalty, Adam Maguire missing from the race. Those 3 names are top tier.
Fabio Sixter missing as well.
Fabio Sixter as well, yeah. And so you've got 3 or 4 drivers here who could still potentially win races. Not podiums, I mean, they could win races. So I'm excited for the season. Obviously, we're going to be getting research and development in from the potentially next round, with maybe a bit of maybe delaying the research and development opening a little bit. But obviously, that's going to come into play as well. But yeah, good start for Liam, good start for Adonis. Obviously, disappointed with Kantai having a few issues today, but they'll be happy to get the season off with a win.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Tom Parker. Yet again, we have been able to return to the GPVWC Super League commentary box. I've missed it, and I can't believe we're going to get to do this every fortnight until the end of the season. Dude, it's good to be back.
You too, man. Great stuff. And yeah, we've got a few more races like this, baby. I'm looking forward to
it. Indeed we do. What a way to start the season. A 3-way bout for victory. And it's Liam DeWaal who opens the Adonis Engineering account with a glorious victory down under. 2 weeks from now, the season continues, where the racing is bound to be as action-packed as always. GPVWC.com to get on the grid and into the races and into the spirit of the activity. Grand Prix racing on R Factor 2. As good as that. 17 more times, I hope. Thanks very much, guys.